Alrighty, let's get into it, shall we? Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Ange Kirchhoff, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, we talk all things fantasy football for Week 8 of the 2023 fantasy football season. For the next 3 hours straight, of course, I'll be answering your guys' questions regarding our Week 8 lineups. To the right of me, we have up-to-date rankings as to the 4 primary positions, my top 36 running backs, top 36 wide receivers, along with top 16 quarterbacks and tight ends. Welcome, good morning. Hope everyone is doing well. You know, Week 8 is going to be very interesting because everyone is available to us, right? There's no bye weeks. There isn't any crazy long lists of injuries. Everything is pretty much known as to what we're kind of going to see in terms of overall play. We know which players are going to be limited. We know which players have cleared their overall protocols and are going to be playing this week. There are a couple game time decisions here or there, like a Curtis Samuel or a Zach Moss that we've heard of in the last 24 hours. But all in all, everything should be great. I've already gone ahead and looked at the weather reports. The biggest, I guess, worry in terms of weather reports today is most likely that Jets versus Giants game. Either way, even if it's a rain game, the two most valuable prospects within that overall matchup, Saquon Barkley, Breece Hall, they're still going to be running the ball at a consistent rate and probably catching the ball a pretty heavy amount of times out of the backfield due to the overall weather conditions. But all in all, good to go. Hope you guys are doing well. Couple reminders before we get into answering questions. Again, the rankings on screen to the right of me are up to date as of this morning. Half PPR scoring format, 4-point per passing touchdown format. Additionally, I do have a graphic for top 12 kickers and defenses. Once we can go ahead and get to like 250 likes, I'll happily share that with you guys so that we're all on the same page in regards to that. Additionally, if you guys are going to ask a question, please let me know what your scoring format is. That definitely makes a huge difference. And also, for those of you who have already gone ahead and signed up via Underdog Fantasy since August 1st of 2023 till yesterday, please be sure to go ahead and check your emails. I've already gone ahead and sent those rankings this morning. I think probably around 2:33 a.m., somewhere around that span of time. If it's not in your immediate inbox, be sure to go ahead and also check your spam folder because it would then absolutely, without a doubt, be there. Thank you, everybody. All right, let's get into this, shall we? Beginning with the first question of the day, Chris Allin. Thank you very much for sending in the super chat. Chris says, full PPR, start Dak Prescott, Jimmy Garoppolo, Geno Smith, or Sam Howell. Yeah, between those 4 options, I'll take Dak Prescott out of the bunch. If I was to rank them in order, I would go Prescott, Geno, Howell, and Garoppolo. So yeah, Prescott's first and foremost. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Moving on to V's question. V, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Says full PPR, 2 wide receivers for this week and a flex. We have Thielen, we have Ayuk, we have Devonta Smith, Josh Downs, Rashee Rice, Tyjae Spears, and Jerome Ford. Yes, Jerome Ford is another one of those players that is also potentially going to give it a go as a game time decision. If in fact he does end up getting activated, I will update the rankings. I already have the idea in my mind as to where I would move Jerome Ford within my top 36 running back rankings, along with Kareem Hunt, to adjust it accordingly if in fact he's active. But we'll have to wait and see if and when that news is available to us. More likely close to 9 a.m. We'll be given an indication as to whether or not that is going to be a possibility. Either way, to answer your question, 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. Out of the players that you mentioned, Brandon Ayuk for sure is a wide receiver start along with Adam Thielen. That's a 1-2 combo there. As for your flex, I would like to play Devonta Smith there today against the Washington Commanders. As for your follow-up question in that, V, any droppable for a defense? Of those overall players that you mentioned, are any of them technically droppable? I mean, it's tough to tell. I don't know what kind of a league you're in, but if you're going to drop one of them, it probably, well, yeah, I don't even think I want to drop any of them. Kyler or Stroud rest of the season. I would probably keep with Stroud for now. Again, Kyler's return isn't probably for another couple weeks as well. So I guess you could hold him for a waiver, or not waiver, an IR spot. But even until then, Kyler's overall value for fantasy purposes has always been his rushing upside, along with the passing work he gets. So unless he's going to be a frequently used quarterback in the running game, it's going to be tough to trust him in fantasy if he's not going to be at that capacity on his return due to the ACL, all that kind of jazz. But for right now, yeah, Thielen, Ayuk, Devonta Smith. Thank you, V. Appreciate it. Tristan Ewing says full PPR, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Also, I need a quarterback. Okay, awesome. So what do you have available? You have Olave, Hollywood, Tank Dell, Christian Watson, Henderson, JSN. Also love Howell, Purdy, and with Debo out. Yeah, I would still play Purdy there. He cleared concussion protocol yesterday. He's expected to start today against the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm expecting that to be a higher scoring game between the two. We are not 100% certain as to whether or not Trent Williams, the starting left tackle, is going to be available. They said that that would go up until a game time decision, so we'll keep that monitored. But for right now, it would be Purdy number one and Jordan Love number two there as your quarterbacks. In that order. Obviously, you can tell by the rankings that are on screen, quite literally right there. What is it? Purdy at 9, Jordan Love at 13. As for your prior question, I'll take Chris Olave as your starting wide receiver. And within the flex in a full PPR, let me see who I have ranked higher. Is it Hollywood Brown or is it Tank Dell? Let me check my full PPR. Okay, full PPR. We have Marquise Hollywood Brown is there. Tank Dell is 2 spots behind him. They're relatively close, but yeah, I'll take Marquise Hollywood Brown there for this week. Thank you, appreciate it. All right, moving on to the next question here. We have Anthony Barrett sending a question. Thank you, Anthony. Much appreciated. It says, hey, bud, full PPR, Nico Collins or Deontay Johnson? Yeah, I'll take Nico Collins there between the two. The absence of Robert Woods is only going to open up more opportunities for guys like Nico Collins within the passing game. This has been a team that has been pass heavy all season long, and they'll probably continue to be, as this is kind of their comfort zone within the overall offense. So I'll take them within the two. And also, there's always a little bit of concern with that weather between the Jacksonville Jaguars and Pittsburgh Steelers today. It's not 100% guaranteed. It's actually far less than it was yesterday. Yesterday, when we were live streaming in the afternoon, the overall kind of potential of that game being a rain game was significantly higher. It was like a 91% chance of rain. That is dipped all the way to 40% chance. So like I mentioned yesterday, we have to keep that monitored. It's likely going to be a game in which the weather is not going to really play much of an impact, and the wind overall isn't even high at all. It's only like 6 miles per hour, so it's nothing too big deal at this moment. So we're good to go there. I'll take Nico Collins. Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it. James Johnson says Deontay Foreman or Tyler Lockett. Between the two of them in a full PPR scoring format, let me actually see who I have ranked higher. I'm going to assume I'll have Foreman. Oh, that's not how you spell that. I have Deontay Foreman quite literally ranked as my number 69 player in my flex, full PPR. And number 70 is literally right behind him, Tyler Lockett. So Deontay Foreman would be the play over Tyler Lockett this week. Just slightly ahead of him, 1 literal spot. Thank you, James. Appreciate it. All right, let's see here. After James Johnson, we had Jordan. Jordan, thank you very much. Hope you're doing well. It says Goff and Devontae. Yeah, I think that's Devontae Adams, I'm assuming. Yeah, I'm assuming that is. Goff and Devontae Adams or Kirk and Addison, 6 point per passing touchdown. Why do I have to pick one or the other? I mean, if I'm picking one or the other, the players that I have ranked higher are Goff and Devontae Adams in comparison to Kirk and Addison. So technically, that would kind of be the play, right? This was a higher ranked player, so we'll take that for now. I don't know why it's one over the other, but we'll take it. All right, let's see here. What does that even say? What about kick returners and defenses? Oh, kickers and defenses. KRs. I never thought KRs would be the way to demonstrate kickers. To answer the question in the chat from Robert, kickers and defenses, if we can get to 250 likes, I'm more than happy to go ahead and change the graphic and show them on screen, but we got to get to that like number. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. All right, let's see here. We had a question that came in from Logert. Logert says, morning, Andrew. Got a flex one. Okay. Javonte Williams or Rashee Rice. Okay, between the two in a full PPR, it probably is going to be Rashee Rice. Let me just... Actually, well, it depends. The weather is going to be a bit of a snow game. So, yeah, that's okay. That's what I thought. I moved Rashee Rice down a little bit in comparison to where he was earlier in the week. Yeah, but for right now, Javonte Williams, my number 64 ranked player in a full PPR, Rashee Rice 66. So I'll take Javonte Williams in a game which it'll probably be a little bit more run dependent in comparison to normal because of the weather, of it being a snow game of sorts there. As for your follow-up question there, Logger, I picked up Dalvin Cook due to trade rumors. Thoughts? I mean, I'm okay with it. I mean, again, as to whether it comes to fruition, time will tell. Obviously, the trade deadline is this upcoming Tuesday, the 31st of October. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But for right now, I'm not in any sort of panic. I'm not 100% certain if they'll move him either. I think there's a chance he could be moved, but yeah, it just depends. Like, there's got to be a team that is in the playoff hunt that wants to get another running back on roster. It could be the Dallas Cowboys. That could be the move they make. Instead of going after a guy like Derrick Henry, they could go for Dalvin Cook, but Dalvin Cook has looked relatively washed thus far this season within that Jets offense, which is obviously disappointing considering how great of a fantasy prospect he's been over the course of the last, 3-4 years now. Thank you. Let's see here. Gabe Myers says Stevenson, Waddle, Hunt, or Higgins in a half PPR scoring format. All right, out of the bunch in a half PPR, it's probably going to be Waddle. Yeah, it is going to be Waddle. I don't even really have to think about it for that much. Stevenson, I don't love because his overall volume of touches isn't great. Hunt is super touchdown dependent, and so is Higgins in comparison. And I think in comparison to those two options, Waddle's within the offense that probably has the highest opportunity of scoring, and we'll take that half PPR boost between the bunch. So yeah, I'll take Waddle there between the bunch. Thank you, appreciate it. All right, let's see here. We had a question after Gabe Myers. We move on to there we go. Let's scroll down. Okay, so a couple questions that I'm seeing in the chat relatively consistently, excuse me, and I would like to address. First and foremost, I know somebody in the chat asked why AJ Dillon above Aaron Jones. So yeah, I think it was Friday. Yeah, it wasn't yesterday. Friday afternoon, press conference from the Green Bay. What just happened? My internet go out? Are we good? I think we dipped out for a second there, but I think we'll be fine. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay. Matt LaFleur specifically said that Aaron Jones is still not 100%. Therefore, we're going to be, cautious with his overall usage. And because of that, it makes me lean towards the idea of, okay, we saw him last week be a limited part of this offense. Still got himself 11 touches, but he's probably still going to be the secondary option behind AJ Dillon going forward. People are asking, why are you so high on Pierce? Again, I had a full weeks of videos out there that shared my ideas. So if you guys want to hear it, that's why those videos are posted. That's why I talk about each player for as much as I do. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Andrew Clark, thank you very much. Hope you're doing well, Andrew. Full PPR, Foreman, Henderson, Pierce, Sutton, Christian Watson. Between the bunch, let me see. I'm going to assume, where do I have these players in a full PPR comparatively? Okay, so there's where I have Pierce. And then where do I have Henderson in comparison? Henderson is way lower. Okay. So is Foreman. Sutton in comparison. And okay, so it'd be Christian Watson's the only player, but he's lower as well in the rankings. So it'd be Dameon Pierce out of that bunch there, Andrew Clark, as your RB2. And as for your flex, it would most likely end up being, let me see, where's Christian Watson in comparison? Yeah, Christian Watson would be the flex. So it'll be Dameon Pierce, Christian Watson. So that's kind of the position I'm in. I don't trust the weather too much it's not about a matter of trust. Like, I trust some of the more valuable options in that game between Denver and Kansas City. So I'll play my Mahomes and I'll play my Travis Kelce's, and I'll play the running back options, Pacheco, Javonte Williams. But outside of that, it is a little bit of a sketchier approach with Sutton, Rashee Rice in comparison, because we don't know exactly how that weather is going to pan out and how brutal it could be potentially for the wide receiver options that are trying to run routes on an unstable surface. So for right now, I'll lean in the direction of going Pierce and Watson there. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it. Moving on to K Styles. K Styles says full PPR. My roster consists of Mahomes, Diggs, Lamb, Eckler, Etienne, Darren Waller, Kenneth Walker. Puka Nacua is on my bench. Should I play him or Walker in the flex, or sit Lamb for Puka Nacua? Let me check who I have ranked highest amongst the bunch. So I have Kenneth Walker there. And where's Puka Nacua? I have Puka Nacua ahead of Kenneth Walker, and I also have CeeDee Lamb ahead of Kenneth Walker in a full PPR. So I'm comfortable playing Puka in the flex there. Thank you, K-Styles. Appreciate it. Loggard says, forgot to ask, keep Rashee Rice or drop for Tank Dell. Can we keep them both on roster? I mean, if I'm thinking rest of season, I'm comfortable keeping Rashee Rice on roster. Yeah, I'm not in a position at the moment to where I'm like super comfortable pivoting him immediately to Tank Dell. I'm fine with keeping him on roster, especially considering how well he's played over the course of the last, 5 weeks or so now. Thank you. Let's see here. Where are we at? All right, Smokey the Cat sends in a question. Thank you, Smokey. Appreciate it. Says tight end Taysom Hill, Michael Mayer, or Gerald Everett. Also, drop one, Roschon Johnson, Charbonnet, or JSN. All right, so of the bunch, Taysom Hill took a huge drop in terms of his overall ranking this week, primarily because Juwan Johnson, one of the other tight ends who has been missing over the course of the last month plus for the New Orleans Saints, he is back at a full capacity and will be playing. So there is a potential in which Taysom Hill's overall route tree of opportunities, the volume of routes that he runs within the given week. I think he ran 42 last week. That's probably going to be cut in half, if not even, potentially take more routes away from him. So if it's between Mayer, Everett, and Taysom Hill, let's see, who do I have ranked the highest? So of the bunch, I have Mayer, and then I have Everett, and then I have Taysom Hill in that order. So Mayer would be the option between those three. As for your follow-up, drop one, Roschon Johnson, Charbonnet, or JSN. It depends. Do you have Kenneth Walker? Do you need the potential of, that handcuff? If you don't need the handcuff, you drop Charbonnet because it doesn't look like he at any moment, unless a devastating injury was to occur, is going to be of value for us for fantasy purposes. So at that point, it would just be drop Charbonnet, keep JSN and Roschon Johnson, and keep it moving from there. I did see another person in the chat say, when are we talking about kickers and defenses? Again, if we can get to 250 likes, I'd be more than happy to share that with you guys on screen with the overall graphic. Do appreciate it. Thank you. All right, let's see here. After Smokey the Cat, there's Keelan Simpkins. Says, I need 2 flex in a PPR, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, Jacobs, Hunt, and Sutton. If I'm playing 2 flex options full PPR, I'll take George Pickens and I'll take Josh Jacobs out of that entire bunch there. Thank you, Keelan. Moving on to Francisco. Says, full PPR, DJ Moore or Kareem Hunt. I'm fairly certain I think I'd probably play DJ Moore there. Just the volume of receptions he had last week. 9 targets, 8 catches. I know a lot of them were close to the line of scrimmage, but if you're able to haul in that much potential just off of consistent screen passes and little dump offs here and there, the potential of this offense continuing to kind of work through DJ Moore is relatively high, especially with an even better matchup within the given week. I have DJ Moore ahead of him in a full PPR, so I'll take him this week. The Chargers matchup is one of the best at the wide receiver position, so if they continue to expand his route tree with the rookie quarterback, Tyson Bagent, there's a lot of potential here for him to obviously have himself even more upside within the given week while also still maintaining a stable amount of receptions and targets within the week. Let's see here. BCP says, are we up an hour early today? No, we're not up an hour early. If you've been around the channel for the entire season, we've had a consistent volume of 6 a.m. live streams. I mean, last season we used to just start at 8 a.m., but earlier this season we've started at 6 a.m. before, but now, the normal approach is starting at 7 a.m. unless there's a London game. If I'm not mistaken, let me see here. If I'm not mistaken, I think London games return next week. Let me see if that's 100% certain. Maybe that's week 10. Yes, let's see here. London games do in fact return next week, or maybe it's in Germany. Next week, we'll be here at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to watch the Chiefs take on the Dolphins over the sea and in Europe. So definitely going to be an interesting one there for sure. Either way, moving on from Francisco's question, we have DIYWD. Thank you very much. As full PPR, pick 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, and a flex for this week. Diggs already played. We have Eckler, Kamara, Gibbs, Thielen, Addison, Metcalf, Flowers, and Marquise Brown. Okay, so the 2 running backs in the flex are going to be Eckler, Kamara, and Gibbs. I'm starting all 3 of those guys. Out of the available receiving options you have, I have Thielen ranked the highest in a full PPR. So it would be Eckler, Kamara, Diggs, and Thielen. Thank you, DIY. Appreciate it. All right, I do see that we got the 290 likes. Greatly appreciated. For those of you who are joining us this morning, good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. The rankings to the right side of the screen are updated as of this morning for a half PPR, 4-point per passing touchdown format. It has taken into account all of the different injuries. I know I have a couple players with a Q tag next to them. Specifically, I can see Joshua Palmer at number 31. He has that Q tag. For those of you who are in the chat asking what does that mean, He is a game time decision, so I left the questionable tag next to him just in case. So, for example, for today, let's see here. So if we look at today's schedule in specific, let's go to Week 8 NFL. When do the Los Angeles Chargers play? The Los Angeles Chargers play in the... Okay, so they're the Sunday night football game. So considering we don't know if Joshua Palmer is going to be active until Sunday night football, unless you have an alternative option that is potentially on the Bears, on the Chargers, on the Raiders, or on the Lions, because that's the Sunday and Monday game, Sunday night game and the Monday night game. Unless you have a pivoting option within those overall options, I would probably suggest you play someone relatively close, even if they're lower ranked. So if you don't have a pivoting option, you have Joshua Palmer and you have, for example, Rashee Rice or Amari Cooper or Calvin Ridley, Deontay Johnson, like you guys can see on screen, lower ranked than him. I would rather probably play those alternative options if you don't have a pivoting option. Okay, cool. So now that we've gotten to somewhere close to 300 likes, greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and present kicker and defensive rankings. This is standard scoring for kickers and defenses. This is it on screen. I'll go ahead and transition back to my quarterback and tight end rankings as we continue, but just wanted to go ahead and share that with you guys. Greatly appreciated. If you guys haven't yet already, do me a favor. Click the like button down below. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you. All right, so let's see here. We had a question. We took care of DIY WD. We move on to Domo. Domo, thank you very much. Says, trade Deontay Johnson for Ridley. I have Pickens as well. Yeah, I don't mind that trade. I mean, look, I think both these receiving options are probably capable of scoring similar volumes of points going forward. It's just a matter of how they want to utilize Ridley within that offense, but I don't mind the risk versus reward there. That doesn't bother me. Thank you for the question, Domo. Ajda says, full PPR, one flex, Collins, Henderson, or McLaurin. In a full PPR scoring format, I would like to play Nico Collins out of the bunch. Thank you very much, Ajda. Moving on to a question from Stu this morning. Thank you, Stu. Appreciate it. Stu says, full PPR, start one at the running back. And, okay, so let's see here. Start one at RB, two. Okay, so I'll just rank them in order at this point. So between Stevenson, Darrell Henderson, and Foreman in a full PPR scoring format, I have it ranked as the following. I have it Stevenson, Henderson, and Foreman in that order. Stevenson, Henderson, Foreman, full PPR. So Stevenson would be the start if I'm picking one. Darrell Henderson would be the backup, and then Foreman would be the third. Foreman's moved down in terms of the overall rankings, primarily because of the return of Roschon Johnson. It doesn't mean that Foreman's going to have a significantly lesser volume of opportunity, but it's definitely going to be far more utilization this upcoming week, specifically when we go ahead and compare the overall snap and reps at the running back position between him and Darrington Evans last week and the week prior to that. As for your follow-up question there, Stu, start one at the flex, Garrett Wilson, or any of the other RBs. The only issue that I have with Garrett Wilson is primarily that rain game. We're going to have to wait until probably, let's say, for example, 15 minutes before that game starts. I would love to see what that overall stadium looks like. For those of you who are in New York, potentially, let me know what that downpour looks like. Additionally, besides that overall downpour, I'll probably get into a position to where prior to the game starting, I'll head on over to Twitter and I'll find someone who's at the stadium posting a video, and I'll just kind of take a quick glance at what it looks like. If it looks like it's going to be a game where we'll be able to find some success with Garrett Wilson in the passing game because the weather isn't going to be a complete shit show, to say the very least, then we'll play Garrett Wilson. Otherwise, you'll just pivot to Darrell Henderson there. Thank you. Let's see here. After that question, we move on. Where is this? I see that question. Okay, okay. All right, cool. Moving on. We had Vowd on film. Thank you, Vowd. Appreciate it. Says, what's up, Andrew? Struggling with help justify selection, Kansas City or Hawks. Given Kansas City scored 14 against Denver, but the Hawks are ranked higher. Yeah, so here's the thing. The matchup for Kansas City this week in terms of being a defense, I honestly don't know how I can potentially trust the defense if the weather could be a problem. Like if defensive linemen cannot consistently find their footing within the overall snow game that it is, there may not be as much of a pass rush. And if that's going to be a consistent option there, it does, kind of instill a little bit of fear in my heart in terms of, do I want to start that Kansas City defense? You know what I mean? So the weather condition pretty much pivots me away from them in comparison to just playing the Seahawks, who I know are taking on PJ Walker, who has turned over the ball a lot already thus far this season in the 2 starts, or I guess technically 2 games in which he's played, not technically 2 starts, but yeah, I'll lean in the direction of the Seahawks defense there, who has played well in their own right, but going into this week, I don't really have to worry about any sort of weather concern within that situation. Thank you. Also, stash Cleveland's defense for week 9 when Kansas City faces Miami. Let's see here. Who does Cleveland play next week? Cleveland takes on Arizona. Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind that stash. Thank you. Appreciate the question, Val. Juan Vaca Ramirez says, pick one full PPR. Ridley, Cooper, Deontay Johnson. In a full PPR scoring format, I'm probably going to play Deontay Johnson out of the group. Let me confirm this. Let's see. Deontay Johnson, Ridley, Amari Cooper. Yep. Let's go with Deontay Johnson there. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Moving on, we had a question that came in from Gunny. Gunny, thank you very much. Says, in a half PPR scoring format, Tank Dell or Darrell Henderson. All right, let me see who I have ranked higher in my flex rankings. Half PPR. Let's go find Tank. All right, so Tank Dell is lower ranked than Darrell Henderson there this week. So it would be Darrell Henderson. And then your follow-up question is Roschon Johnson or Darrell Henderson. Rankings on screen have it as such. We'll have Darrell Henderson ahead of Roschon Johnson as well. And then that's it. Thank you very much, Johnny. Gunny, appreciate it. All right, let's see here. Did I see a new report? What is this? No, that's not a new report. I think that's relatively old. Just kind of re-updated, if anything. That's okay. We can move on from that. We're good to go. Awesome. All right. Yes, I saw many of you were typing in the chat in regards to quarterback rankings. So at this moment, the rankings that are on screen are updated. Good to go. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Toast sends in a question. Thank you very much, Toast. Toast says, do I flex Javonte Williams or Aaron Jones over Amari Cooper? Yeah, I would probably feel pretty comfortable playing Javonte over both of them. That's fine by me. Amari Cooper is lower in the rankings because that Seattle Seahawks defense, specifically that secondary, now that they're fully healthy, they have played very well against number 1 wide receivers in back-to-back weeks, whether that's been Jamar Chase or Marquise Hollywood Brown. So there's a likelihood that with PJ Walker there, they're probably going to make it difficult for Amari Cooper. It's not going to be like out of the realm of possibility to where he can't score, potentially 8 to 10 fantasy points, but I think it'll be pretty difficult for him overall. Thank you, Toast. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Where are we at? We had a question from, okay, we're good there. I'm just kind of scrolling through the live chat just to see if there's any questions that are like super. There's nothing there that's like. All right, I think we're good. All right. Jim sends in a question. Jim says, Andrew, full PPR, flex 2 of these options. I have Swift, Hall, Puka Nacua, Evans started. Okay. Barkley, Jacobs, Jones, Ayuk, Pickens, Flowers, Olave. I'm so confused. Flex have Swift, Hall, Puka, Evans, Barkley, Jacob. Okay, so let's just say you have all these options, for example, right? If you started Evans already, the next best option at wide receiver, comparative, I mean, when we talk about Brandon Ayuk or Puka Nacua, I'd probably just play Puka Nacua there pretty comfortably. So that would be your second wide receiver option. Well, actually, no, you just need 2 flex options. But, I mean, I don't even know who's starting on your team, so I don't even know who we're picking. But anyway, let's just put it this way. Puka Nacua would start as your wide receiver 2. As for your 2 starting running backs, that would be Hall and Barkley. And then Swift would be in your flex. And then if you needed another flex on top of that, I probably would end up playing, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need a 6th player. It would probably end up being Chris Olave out of the bunch. Thank you. Appreciate it, Jim. We had a question from Michael Barton. Michael, hope you're doing well. Thank you. Says, which stack is better? Allen Herbert and the Chargers defense with St. Brown, or Allen Herbert with St. Brown and Lions defense? What? I'm so Allen Herbert and Chargers defense with St. Brown, or Allen Herbert with at Brown and Lions defense? I'm so confused. This question doesn't make any sense. Michael Barton. um I mean, I don't even know how to answer this question. So if you like to rephrase it, that'd be great. But otherwise, it doesn't make any sense to me. Or Allen Herbert with St. Brown and Lions. I mean, that's literally the same thing. You basically asked me, hey Andrew, which one's better? This one or this one? And they're quite literally the same stack. I understand. It's literally a Chargers defense or a Lions defense. That's the difference. I'm so stupid. Based on my defensive rankings, Chargers and Lions, I have the Chargers ahead. So I'm fine running the Chargers stack. That's fine by me. Apologies, Michael. I'm an idiot. Moving on. Ask your follow-up question, Darrell Henderson or DJ Moore in a full PPR, Michael. I'll take DJ Moore there. Thank you. God, I'm an idiot. Moving on. E345 says, start 2 full PPR, Deontay Johnson, Tank Dell, Rashee Rice, DeAndre Hopkins. If I'm starting 2 out of that bunch, I'll take Deontay Johnson and Tank Dell today. Thank you very much, E345. We have iShine 101. Thank you very much. Says pick 1 flex full PPR. Josh Downs. Okay, interesting. We have Aaron Jones. We have Stevenson. We have Sutton. We have Michael Thomas. We have Osborne. And we have Tank Dell. Thank you. Out of the bunch, full PPR, I'm fairly certain. Let me see where I have Tank Dell in comparison to Josh Downs. Yeah, Josh Downs I have as the highest ranked player out of the bunch in a full PPR. Let me actually confirm that he's ahead of guys like Stevenson real quick. Let's see here. So there's Ramondre. And then where is Josh Downs? Where is he? Yeah, I have Josh Downs ahead of him in a full PPR. So that would be my suggestion. I'll play Josh Downs this week. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on to Mr. Golden. Dejuan Golden says, Thomas Solo versus Eagles. Number 31 tight end. Number 31 tight end. What does that even mean? Are you saying like ranked 31st against the tight end position? I think that's probably what you're referring to. Can't confirm exactly. But if we're talking about like the matchup against the Eagles in specific, the Philadelphia Eagles, in terms of isolated fantasy points to tight ends based off of just receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, and a half PPR, it's the 13th best matchup technically against the Eagles. So, I mean, I'm not too excited about the matchup. Last time around when they played against one another, Thomas didn't get much utilization. The last 2 weeks, Thomas hasn't seen much, overall upside. He's a solid play, but is he one that I'm kind of like super excited about? No. I think McBride, just based on the volume of opportunity the tight end position has gotten within that offense, the fact that they're targeting their tight ends nearly 10 times per game thus far this season on average, that in itself leads me to believe that McBride should have more opportunity, which in fantasy, in turn, will lead to potentially more fantasy points there. Thank you. Jaden Thornton sends in a question. Says, traded AJ for Evans. I have Christian McCaffrey, Kamara, and Kyron Williams. I'm assuming AJ is Aaron Jones for Mike Evans. That's fine by me. Mike Evans has been very consistent this season when healthy, so I don't have a problem with that. Thank you. The real Franklin sent in a question. I got to find the question, though, because it wasn't attached. Let's see, Franklin, where is your question? There wasn't anything attached, Franklin, so if you could do me a solid and just type in the chat, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Let's see here. Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and update the chat to the very bottom just so I can see if I can catch your question. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you. All right. So after that, we had a question that came in from Oliver. Oliver, thank you very much. Says, full PPR, pick 2, Javonte, Hollywood Brown, or Tank Dell. Full PPR, if I'm picking 2 of the 3, let's see. Do I have Javonte Williams ahead of either of these 2? I don't think so in a full PPR. I do not. I'll take both the wide receivers there in a full PPR. Thank you. Moving on to Miguel Arroyo. Let's hear, Miguel. Where is your question? Can I find it? Miguel Arroyo sends, yep, I sent in. Yeah, Miguel, there wasn't anything attached to your super chat. So do me a favor and type in the chat. Be greatly appreciated. I'm also waiting for the real Franklin. Okay, so I see Franklin's question. Let me get to that right now. Real Franklin says, should I start Josh Jacobs, Damian Pierce, or Jeff Wilson Jr. if Mostert doesn't play or is limited today? He's not going to be limited. He is going to play, and you should start Josh Jacobs out of the bunch. Actually, who do I have ranked higher? Do I have Jacobs or Pierce higher on my screen? Yeah, I have Jacobs right here. 16, Pierce 17. So, yeah, I'll take Jacobs there. In a full PPR, Jacobs is still higher because he has a higher upside for overall reception. So, yeah, Jacobs would be the play, and I'm not worried about Mostert missing. Thank you. Let's see here. Let me just go ahead. Let me confirm. Let's go here. Boom. All right, awesome. Now, I'm looking for Mr. Arroyo. Where are you, Miguel? Anything new, Miguel? Maybe you'll type in the chat soon, hopefully. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on. After Miguel Arroyo's question, we had Chris. Chris, thank you very much. Chris says, 12-man PPR. We have Osborne. Yeah, no, that's not Osborne. That's Kendrick Bourne or Palmer at the flex. Yeah, here's the thing, right? Considering Joshua Palmer plays tonight, he's a game time decision as to whether or not he plays. I would probably lean towards just playing Kendrick Bourne in the early slate of games. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Kendrick Bourne's like, I think, my number 37 ranked wide receiver. He's just out. Actually, no, I think he's 38. He's behind Sutton. Sutton's 37. Kendrick Bourne's 38. Just outside of the overall graphic. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on from that question, we have Rockout. Thank you very much, Rockout. Appreciate it. Rockout says, drop one, Love or Purdy as my backup for a kicker. I would drop Love rest of season. Thank you. iShine101 says, pick one, flex PPR, Marquise Hollywood Brown, Ramondre Stevenson, Sutton, Kareem Hunt, Roshan Johnson, or Tank Dell. Flex one out of this bunch. So between Marquise Brown and Tank Dell, let me see. I'm pretty sure I have Marquise Hollywood Brown ranked higher between the two. I'm fairly certain I remember mentioning that. And then he would be ranked higher than Stevenson, Hunt, Roshan. Yeah. So basically, Marquise Hollywood Brown's the play in that position. Thank you. Appreciate it. It's going to be a negative game script the entire game for Arizona anyway. So with more overall opportunities to throw the ball, there should be a pretty good position there for Marquise Hollywood Brown to rack up a lot of overall receptions. Thank you. Somebody in the chat was saying weather report in Philly game. I mean, as of right now, the weather report, 16% chance of rain. Really low as of this morning. 74 degrees Fahrenheit. So should be a pretty clear game. I mean, it says partly cloudy, but that's fine. It doesn't designate it as a rain game at the moment. While on the other hand, there's a potential, which of course, Giants versus Jets, probably going to be a rain game. And we're going to have to keep that Steelers-Jaguars game monitored until kickoff. Thank you. Moving on from Rockout's question and iShine 101's question. Thank you again for sending those in. J-Rod, thank you very much, J-Rod. Says, grateful to be able to make it back. Make it back-to-back weeks. Thank you very much, J-Rod. Appreciate it. Looking for your perspective on a trade I was able to finalize, okay? 12-man full PPR. Traded Henderson Jr., Brian Robinson Jr., Brandon Ayuk, and Petrie, the defensive back, okay, for Saquon Barkley and Amon-Ra. Fantastic trade. I will take that 10 times out of 10. Literally. Brian Robinson Jr. is going the opposite direction in terms of his overall utilization within this offense. Darrell Henderson Jr. is only valuable up until week 12. Petrie, again, I don't know how IDP leagues work. I don't know how valuable of an option is. I don't even know who Petrie plays for because, again, I'm also so offensive focused. And Brandon Ayuk, I mean, when you're getting Saquon Barkley and Amon-Ra in return, I'll take that. Absolutely. Thank you, J-Rod. Great trade. Arda sends in a question, says, hey, boss, standard league, struggling with my flex spot, Addison or Hunt? I'll probably... Okay, let's see. When does Cleveland play today? Cleveland plays in the afternoon. Minnesota plays in the morning. So we won't know until the afternoon whether or not Jerome Ford is going to be active, which absolutely would negatively impact the upside of Kareem Hunt's overall, rushing attempts, rushing touchdown upside, etc. So my suggestion would be to just play Jordan Addison in the morning slate that obviously begins in about 2 hours and 20 minutes. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Arda. Lucky Slevin sends in a question. Thank you, Lucky Slevin. Says full PPR, flex one, Cooper, Henderson, Watson, Palmer. Okay, so considering none of those options are a pivoting option for Palmer, it would have to be one of the alternative options. So if it's between someone like Watson, Cooper, and Henderson, let's go see full PPR. Where do I have? Let's look at this. Okay, cool. Between the bunch, where is... Am I blind? Okay, yeah, there it is. Christian Watson is there. And then where is Amari Cooper? Cooper is there. Yeah. So I have Christian Watson and Amari Cooper both ahead of Darrell Henderson, full PPR. But I do have Watson ranked the highest out of the bunch. Thank you, Lucky. Appreciate it. Cody says, drop Zach Moss for Josh Palmer. Zach Moss, I don't even know if he's going to play today. I know he's dealing with an elbow and heel injury, / Achilles injury. So I don't know what exactly his overall status is. We know that that is going to be a situation in which it's most likely going to be, it's most likely going to be a game time decision. If you are not in need of the handcuff nature of what Zach Moss provides, dropping him for Josh Palmer is not a bad idea. But again, Josh Palmer may not play today. Game time decision. We'll keep that in mind, Cody. But I don't mind it. Thank you. Let's see here. Jaden Thornton says, no rain here. Sunnyside, Queens. Okay. Good to hear. Good to hear. That's good news. It's good news. But how close will we to MetLife Stadium? That's the question. I don't know what the separation between Queens is to MetLife, but isn't MetLife in New Jersey? How close? I don't know. I've never been to New York. I don't even know what the different boroughs and I don't know. It's either way. Keep it moving. Sweet Teabag said, where is Zach Moss in your rankings? Zach Moss is not ranked because first and foremost, we don't even know if he's going to play. So even if he does play, they're probably going to be in a situation where they limit him in his overall touches in comparison to weeks past because he has been injured for majority of the week and even didn't practice on Friday, which is obviously not a great sign for his overall potential for this week. All right, moving on to AEPM 16 says half PPR. I started Kincaid at tight end. Congratulations. That's fantastic. Am I crazy to start Waller this week over Ridley or Garrett Wilson? I have Breece Hall at my running back already. Are you crazy to start Waller over Ridley or Garrett Wilson? Let me check my half PPR flex real quick. We have Waller. I have Waller there, and Waller is ahead of... Where is he in comparison to Garrett Wilson? Where's Garrett? So I have Waller ahead of Garrett Wilson, and then your other alternative option was Ridley. Yeah, I have him ranked higher than both of them this week. Thank you. So I don't think it's crazy to start him at the flex. I would actually suggest that you do so. Jaden Thornton then says raining in Manhattan though. Jaden, listen, you gotta be my guy. You gotta just be on it. I don't know, I need a singular report. Somebody drive over to MetLife. Somebody let me know. Thank you. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see here. After that, we had a question from Travis Ward. Thank you very much, Travis. Says, I'm 5-2, 2-quarterback league. I have Allen and Mahomes at quarterback. I have Swift and JT as my running backs. St. Brown and Olave as my wide receivers. Or maybe that's Marquise Hollywood Brown. Either way, you put Brown and Olave. So either way. Flex is Addison / Garrett Wilson. Tight end is Kelsey. J-Jets owner wants Swift and Olave. Do I take it? 5-2, you're sending away Swift and Olave. I don't know what the rest of your depth looks like. If J-Jet returns in week 11, you'll survive it. But can you I don't know what your rest of your running back depth looks like, to be honest. I would love to know what that other running back is after Swift that is going to have to start every single week. Because if that guy's, if your next best running back after that is, let me just throw out a name here. Let's look at the running back rankings list. If your next best guy after that is, for example, Alexander Madison, I would be very concerned to make that move. But it depends. With more context, I'll be able to comfortably say yes or no. But at the moment, it's tough to say for sure. Eric Wright sends in a question, says, full PPR, start 2 wide receivers and a flex, please. CeeDee Lamb, Thielen, Amari Cooper, Deontay Johnson. We have Michael Pittman Jr. Okay, so 2 wide receivers out of that bunch. CeeDee Lamb, of course, first and foremost. Number 2 is Adam Thielen. Number 3 would be Michael Pittman Jr. So 2 wide receivers in a flex. Your running backs are Henry. My other running backs are ETN, Kamara Hunt. Thanks, 5 and 2. Okay, cool. So if you're in a position to where you're already starting Etienne and Kamara, as I suspect, Eric, and you're going to start CeeDee Lamb and Adam Thielen within your starting wide receiver positions, then it's a question of, are we starting Michael Pittman Jr. or Derrick Henry in a full PPR? Let's see who I have ranked higher. Where's Pittman? Pittman is there. I'm not even joking. Full PPR, Michael Pittman Jr., 33rd on my rankings list on the flex. Number 34 is Derrick Henry. Literally back to back. My overall projections model has them relatively close in terms of points scored. So I'm comfortable with Michael Pittman or Derrick Henry there, whichever you want to go with in terms of your gut feeling. But I do have Michael Pittman one spot ahead of him ranked. GK says, should I start the Falcons defense over the Chiefs defense? If you'd like to, sure. I mean, that's where I have it ranked. You don't have to follow it. Again, guys, these are my suggestions. These are not the answers to the test. This is what I would play it as. This is all the research I've done and what I've come to the conclusion. It's not 100% accurate. We all know that. You can't be 100% accurate. We're just trying to the best of our ability, use all of the variables that we have in terms of opportunity, in terms of coaching, play calling, and in terms of overall coach speak, overall matchups, overall usage, overall skill of players, overall weather, every single variable that we could possibly take into account. We want to utilize it to try to get to the best overall, roster so we can win. But yeah, if you would like to play the Chiefs defense, by all means. I mean, I have them ranked. Let me see here. Chiefs defense is ranked. I think they're. Let me see. Where do I have them ranked on my rankings? Chiefs is number 13, literally right outside of it, but they are in the same tier as the Jaguars and Detroit Lions defense. So if you want to play it, go for it. I don't mind it. No problem for me at all. Let's see here. So yeah, anyway, I just posted the defense and kicker rankings on screen. So if you're if you're interested for those information, check that out. Okay, so now I need to go and see if Miguel, I almost said O'Hara. That's Spider-Man. Arroyo. No, I don't see Arroyo's question. So I'm gonna assume that Miguel is not here, and if he's not, I'll just keep it moving. Okay. Let's see here. We took care of Cody. We took care of Eric Wright. We took care of GK. Now we go back to J-Rod with another question. J-Rod's question is 12-man league. All right, let's see here, J-Rod. I need 2 flexes. We have Addison, Rice, Deontay, Kareem, and Aaron Jones. In that position, full PPR, I'd like to play Addison, and I'd like to play Kareem Hunt. Thank you. Wii Sports Matt says full PPR, start 2 flex. Eckler, Kamara, Goff, JT. We got to do it like that, huh? Full PPR. If it's a 4-point per passing touchdown format, theoretically, right? Let me see where I have the projection of Goff looking like comparatively. If I go here. All right, so there's Jared Goff. Do I think he can outscore? I think there's a I think there's a strong likelihood that both of them could score comparable numbers, but the highest upside between the bunch is Goff. Like, Goff has the highest upside because of the nature of the position, in comparison to the other options you mentioned, Eckler, Kamara, JT. But I'm okay playing Eckler and Kamara. I'm fine with that. In a full PPR, I have them, pretty highly ranked, and I'm expecting them to both put up somewhere close to 19 to 20 plus points. So the expectation is that both of them should play well. I don't really want to leave either of them on the bench, so I'm okay playing that in the super flex over Goff. That's fine by me. Thank you, Wii Sports Matt. iShine 101 with another question says half PPR, 12-man league. Pick 1 running back and 1 flex. Aaron Jones, Ridley, Foreman, Miles Sanders, Josh Downs, Algier, and or Brandon Cooks. So in a half PPR league of the available players that you mentioned, if we're playing 1 running back out of the bunch, I have Foreman ranked the highest, which is pretty good. I'm comfortable with that over Aaron Jones and Miles Sanders. Aaron Jones should be the number 2 option within this backfield. Miles Sanders should also be the number 2 option within this backfield behind Chuba Hubbard. As for Ridley, again, it's a little bit sketchy, but for now, I'll probably just leave him on my bench, especially with the worry of any sort of rain conditions there. So I'll take Josh Downs as the flex option there. So I'll go Foreman and Downs. Thank you very much, Aishan. Sticky Spits says full PPR, pick 1, Pittman, Hunt, Zay Flowers. Full PPR, I will take Michael Pittman Jr. there. Thank you. Moving on to Chris. BDRD says, full PPR, I need 2 out of Olave, Pacheco, Devonta Smith, Amari Cooper. Thank you, great bearded one. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Okay, so full PPR, Olave, Pacheco, Devonta Smith. So basically, it's those 3 because Amari Cooper is such a lower ranked option in comparison. Olave's there. Pacheco is literally 1 spot behind him, and Devonta Smith is below all of them. So Olave and Pacheco are the 1-2 combo there. Thank you. Appreciate it. We had a question that came in from Jonathan McMaster. Love the last name. Always tell you that. Hope you're doing well, Jonathan. Full PPR, Josh Downs or Kareem Hunt with Ford playing. Okay, so if Ford is playing, I'd rather play Josh Downs. Let me check. If Ford is not playing, do I have Downs ranked higher than Kareem Hunt? I do have him ranked higher than Kareem Hunt in a full PPR scoring format. So under the assumption, regardless of whether Jerome Ford plays or not, I'd probably just suggest you play Josh Downs. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, let me go ahead and change the rankings on screen back to quarterback and tight end for those of you guys who are interested. For those of you who are joining us this morning, welcome. We are almost an hour into the live stream. Hope you guys are doing well. As of right now, again, we're answering as many questions as possible, trying to catch up on some of the super chat questions. Of course, greatly appreciate you guys continuing to send in questions, whether it is via chat, whether super chat, all that kind of jazz. Couple reminders, the rankings that are on the right side of the screen as of this morning, up to date, takes everything into account. Obviously, there's a couple players that we're still uncertain of. Jerome Ford, like we've talked about, Joshua Palmer, guys like Zach Moss, guys like Curtis Samuel, kind of game time decision players going into the week. So we'll keep that in mind. But rankings to the right should help. Greatly appreciate it. If you guys haven't yet already, click the like button. And also, if you've signed up using code Andrew via Underdog Fantasy since August 1st of this season till about yesterday, you'll have my rankings already sent to you via email. It most likely is in your spam folder, unless you've already received it and you've kind of taken it out of the spam folder in weeks past. So make sure you go ahead and check that out. For those of you who want additional rankings every single Sunday morning, sent from my email directly to yours for every position, half PPR, full PPR, flex. Be sure to go ahead and check out Underdog Fantasy. Use code Andrew. Make that first-time deposit minimum of $10. And for the remainder of the season, every single Sunday morning, you'll get those rankings. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you. All right, so let's get into answering the next question. We have Rusty Wright. Thank you, Rusty. Says, happy football day, brother. That's right. Every Sunday is football day. Honestly, for me, every day is football day. The amount of football I watch every single week, whether it is, on a random Wednesday, watching the week prior's games just to get an extra additional info. Anyway, just got Kincaid this week. Do you think it's safe to drop Pitts and stash Charbonnet as a handcuff? It depends when the Bills' bye week is. I think the Bills have a later bye week. Maybe it's week 11. I'll have to actually check that up. But, yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind picking up Charbonnet as a handcuff option as long as you're not going to have to be pressed on that specific day in which Kincaid is on bye. Thank you. Moving on, we had Eddie James. Says, full PPR, which wide receiver 2 should I play? Higgins, Lockett, Osborne, Bourne, as in Kendrick. I'm leaning towards Higgins, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I would agree with you. I'd love to play Higgins there out of the bunch. Lockett, again, has been dealing with a little bit of an injury. He's going to go today, but it's also tougher coverage against Cleveland. Osborne, again, is going to be the number 3 option, maybe even number 4 if Brandon Powell continues to get work within that offense. I don't love him. Kendrick Bourne, the reason why I've moved him down within my rankings is because Jalen Ramsey's playing today. And that is probably going to be his primary coverage. Him or Xavier Howard will end up seeing, but still that doesn't make it easier for Kendrick Bourne. So yeah, I'll take T. Higgins out of the bunch. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Also, his rib status, there's nothing. There was, let me go and I'll confirm it right now. When I go and look at the Cincinnati Bengals injury report from this week, T. Higgins is not mentioned on the injury report at all. So that there was no limitation. There was no injury at practice. No any overall setbacks there, Eddie James. So yes, play Higgins. Thank you. Appreciate it. Junior Ventura, thank you very much. Says 12-team full PPR. I traded Chase, Debo, Spears, Ferguson for CD, Hawk, Gibson. No, that's not Gibson. That's Gibbs. Hollywood. Team right now. Okay, so let's see. You traded Chase, Debo, Samuel, Spears, Ferguson for CeeDee Lamb, Hawkinson, Gibbs, and Hollywood. Okay. I don't mind that. I mean, I think it's more of a lateral. Depending on how the Spears situation turns out, yeah, Ferguson's fine. Yeah, okay, that's fine by me. I don't have a problem with that. Your team currently is Allen, Bijan, Pollard, Amon-Ra, Bench consists of Cooper, Javonte, Judy. Yeah, I think overall, depending on if in fact Gibbs gets more utilization within this backfield, it's probably a position in which you're pretty much pulling out a W, because Spears is not really a startable option unless Henry gets traded, which I don't think is going to happen. Ferguson is relatively inconsistent in comparison to a guy like Hawkinson. Deebo Samuel just continues to get injured. I mean, that's just kind of his MO. Hollywood Brown, once in fact he gets Kyler back, is a significantly better. I think this is a good trade for you, Junior. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. Chris Rosado says Pickens over Flowers. Yeah, I like that specifically. If the weather there by the time we get to kickoff is an absolute disaster, we can pivot away from it. But I don't think it'll get to a point to where it would be a disaster in that kind of circumstance. So at this point, I'm pretty comfortable with that. I mean, Pickens in the last I think it's last 5 games, maybe 4 games he's played, he's averaging like 93 receiving yards per game. The guy is he's putting up some crazy numbers as of late. And I think the Jacksonville Jaguars secondary it's not great at all. And when we compare like Flowers to Pickens, like Pickens is honestly the number 1 receiving option. Flowers, even though he sees a high volume of targets, especially when they get down into the red zone, unfortunately, he is not as featured of an option as he potentially should be in comparison to the Nelson Aguilars, the Mark Andrews, the rushing opportunity of Lamar Jackson and or Gus Edwards, which obviously diminishes his value comparatively. We had a question that came in from Grant. Grant, thank you very much. Says full PPR flex options. We have Cole Kmet, not starting him. Josh Downs, great. Darrell Henderson, great. I'll take Josh Downs. Appreciate it, Grant. Appreciate it. iShine101 says half PPR. What 2 should I start in the flex out of Hunt, Sutton, AJ Dillon, Jahan Dotson, Rashid Shaheed, and Jaden Reed is on waivers. Yeah, I'm not really interested in Jaden Reed considering Musgrave and Christian Watson is going to play. The only reason I ever suggested Jaden Reed earlier this week was primarily because of, the potential of those 2 guys missing. So out of the available options that you do have in a half PPR scoring format, I'm pretty comfortable going with guys like Kareem Hunt and AJ Dillon. Yeah, I'll probably take those 2 out of the bunch there. Thank you, Aishan. Appreciate it. Let's see here. So Cole Russell in the chat says, how do we feel about Kendrick Bourne? Yeah, so Kendrick Bourne currently in a half PPR. He is not on screen, but he sits at wide receiver 38. He is in the same tier as Ridley, Amari Cooper, Rice. The next player after him would be Cortland Sutton, and then it would be Kendrick Bourne. So those 5 players are one singular tier. So they're relatively close in terms of the overall projection. But yeah, I think that the coverage potentially of Jalen Ramsey, little concerning for me. Dan's the God in the chat was saying, just out of curiosity, why did you rate Terry McLaurin over DK Metcalf? I have both of them in the flex. Yeah, so my biggest concern with DK Metcalf purely is the coverage. Purely. The man coverage that we're going to see from Cleveland for the entirety of the day. Like I mentioned earlier in the week on Wednesday, it's not a matter of like, oh, it's impossible for DK Metcalf to score a high volume of points, because we did see, Michael Pittman Jr. do it last week, but Michael Pittman Jr. literally had to catch 1 ball over the middle, forced the defenders to miss 3 tackles, and then he went for 60 yards, right? And he didn't even force any missed tackles. He just ran forward and they all missed. So I think the coverage from Cleveland is really good. Denzel Ward, primary coverage, man, probably following, DK Metcalf everywhere, isn't something I'm too excited about. So I'll take Terry McLaurin and the potential of him getting another week in which he probably gets 9 to 11 targets, 9 to probably 12, 13 targets potentially, if in fact this game is an even worse game script than it was last time out. And if he's able to get anywhere close to his overall, fantasy point total that he had last time against this team, pretty solid play there. Thank you. Pedro's Lucario sends in a question. Thank you very much, Pedro. Says, standard flex, KJ Osborne, Jaleel McLaughlin, Waller, Reed, or Spears. Yeah. Out of the group there, I don't think any of them have specifically higher touchdown upside than the other, but I'll take Darren Waller out of the bunch. Thank you. I think he has the highest upside for yards between the bunch. Appreciate it. Alrighty. Catching up, we had Greg19 send in a question. Says, full PPR. Worth trading Puka Nacua for CeeDee Lamb? Is it worth trading Puka Nacua for CeeDee Lamb? I think it could be justified to an extent. In like a half PPR scoring format, I would probably say, from what we've seen from CeeDee Lamb over the last couple years, once this offense kind of finds its footing and continues to have that consistency week over week in comparison to where they've been in the first, obviously, 2 months of the season, I do believe remainder of the year, CeeDee Lamb is a better wide receiver option. So I would probably make that trade. I do expect that CeeDee Lamb would be far more upside comparatively. Actually, I wouldn't say far more upside. I would probably both have them within the top 12 conversation of remaining wide receivers the rest of the season, but it would be like CeeDee Lamb at like 9 comparatively to Puka Nacua at like 12. So it's not a huge gap, but enough to where, yeah, I am comfortable making that move. Just want to clarify that. Thank you. Colin Smith says PPR, Miles Sanders, Chuba Hubbard, Warren, or Akers. Between the bunch, I'll play Chuba Hubbard. From majority of the overall conversations that we've, not even just conversations, the press conferences that we've seen from Frank Wright earlier this week, along with the offensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers, Thomas Brown, we have primarily seen majority of the media ask, like, what are they going to do with the backfield? We know that Miles Sanders is back. And really, they haven't commented much. They've only just said this is a committee situation and that they like both running backs, which leads me to believe that if the former starting running back isn't, if the coaching staff isn't coming out and saying, hey, yeah, Miles Sanders is still the guy. What are you guys talking about? He's still a running back. The fact that they're not coming out and explicitly telling us that he is the guy leads me to believe that Chuba Hubbard is going to carve out an even bigger role and that they like what he's done. He has been significantly far more efficient thus far this season. So I do expect Chuba Hubbard to lead the backfield of that offense as of today. And I'll take him out of the bunch. Thank you, Colin Smith. Appreciate it. Let's see here. DeAndre Warren, thank you very much for the question. Says Dobbs, Ritter, Pickett, Mac Jones, or Taylor. I lost my quarterback. Okay, so of the bunch, okay, so DeAndre, if Taylor is Jonathan Taylor, I'll play him over the bunch. Okay, just a fair warning. If he is not, and Taylor is somebody else who I don't know, I mean, like, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to control F Taylor. There's literally Tyrod Taylor. Okay, so it's probably Tyrod if I had to guess, if it's not Jonathan. So yeah, if you're mentioning just quarterbacks in specific, that's probably Tyrod Taylor. Okay, so of the bunch, Dobbs, Ritter, Pickett, Mac Jones, and Tyrod Taylor, I would play Desmond Ritter over the bunch. Thank you, DeAndre. Appreciate it. We had a question from Reek Rowe. Reek with RIQ says, full PPR, 12-team league, standard. Okay, but it's full PPR, so you don't have to mention standard. No problem. Quarterbacks, Tua, Goff. Wide receivers are Kupp, St. Brown, Puka, and Nico Collins. My running backs are Swift and Gibbs. My tight ends are Hawkinson and Laporta. Pick my lineup. Okay. And you have Tucker and Houston defense. Okay, cool. So Tucker and Houston defense don't move. I'll take Tua over Goff. I'll take Kupp and St. Brown as your starting 2 wide receivers. I'll take Swift and Gibbs as your starting 2 running backs. Hawkinson is your tight end, and your flex is going to be Puka Nacua. Thank you. If you have a yeah, I think that's probably how it's going to be. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Rusty Wright says, heads up, I live in Philly. It's raining a little right now. Good reminder. Okay, thank you, first and foremost. You didn't have to do that, but that's greatly appreciated. It's raining a little, huh? Okay. So, still, in majority of the situations that we're in, we're still going to start our studs in terms of Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift, A.J. Brown. It may make it a little bit more of a risk if, in fact, the weather persists as such, going into the game with the alternative options of a Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, etc. But if you have Dallas Goedert and you don't have any better tight end, you start him up, no worry, you're good to go. But it could give you maybe some semblance of confidence of going with an alternative option that's closely ranked to them. But for now, I do appreciate the heads up there, Rusty. Appreciate it. Jay Steve in the chat was asking, can you talk about Dylan over Jones? Yeah. The head coach of the Green Bay Packers said that Aaron Jones isn't 100% healthy and that they're going to be cautious with him this week. So the assumption is that he'll probably see less touches than A.J. Dillon. And considering the way that they've used A.J. Dillon, especially down in the red zone, I think he has higher touchdown for potential upside there. Thank you. Moving on. Let me see. Did Miguel at any point type again? Miguel, I'm trying to find you. Miguel. Yes, Miguel says Foreman or Dell or Downs full PPR flex. I'll take Josh Downs there, number 1, Tank Dell number 2, and Foreman there, number 3. Thank you, Miguel Arroyo. Appreciate it. Glad I was able to get to your question. Moving on, we had a question that came in from Eric. Eric, thank you very much. Says, drop Lockett, JSN to pick up Akers or Singletary. No. I would unless you have, let's say for example, you have Madison, or potentially you're in a position where you're like, I have so much wide receiver depth and I have no running back depth. Maybe I want to take a chance on one of these two running backs, maybe becoming the starter. I would lean towards the idea that Akers only got himself as many touches that he did last week because of the injury that Alexander Madison sustained at the end of the first half. Singletary, again, that is a kind of coin toss situation. I have Singletary ranked, let's see here. In terms of my running back rankings, half PPR, Singletary sits at, what is he, number 34? Yeah, he's at number 34. So, like, technically, if you want to risk it, he could be a decent option this week. The only reason I'm even suggesting Singletary is only because they play against Carolina. That's the only reason why I have Dameon Pierce as high as I have them. So these guys could be like 1 week deals, but I don't know if they're going to be consistent enough options going forward in comparison to dropping Lockett and JSN. I'd probably just hold what you have unless you're in like a, hey, I've got the most ridiculous wide receiver room of all time. I just want to see if I can get a running back that could be of the starter, position going forward, which at that point I could justify. K. Pereira says, I know Stroud and Lawrence are neck and neck, but who would you play in a standard league? I mean, as of right now, considering the weather report as of Jacksonville is a 43% chance of rain. And in comparison, when we talk about Houston playing against Carolina, 0% chance, 80-degree weather in Carolina today. If I'm going to start one or the other, I'm going to play CJ Stroud. I'm not going to worry about the weather. I'm not going to have any concerns of wide receivers slipping and an interception coming through because of it, some sort of disaster there. So I'll just play Stroud and just be kind of comfortable with that overall position. Thank you. Let's see here. Dalnez 2006 sends a question. Thank you very much. Says, half PPR trade Mostert and Puka Nacua for Pollard and Waddle. My other wide receivers are looking good for an upgrade. Okay, so trade Mostert and Puka Nacua for Pollard and Waddle. So Puka Nacua and Waddle, I think rest of the way I would rather have Puka Nacua. But if we're talking about Mostert exchanging him for Pollard, abso-freaking-lutely, let's make that deal happen. Mostert is going to eventually, come to a situation in which Achane returns in week 11. And Mostert's going to be a significantly worse option. He'll probably be like a lower end RB2 that needs touchdown upside. In comparison to Pollard, who hasn't scored since week 1. It's coming, guys. The eventual blow-up consistent games of 20-plus points could end up starting today. I'd love to see that. That's kind of the expectation there. But, yes, I would make that trade. Give me Pollard, give me Waddle, rest of the season. Thank you there very much, Dalnez. Moving on to Frosty. Frosty sends in a question, says, PPR start 2. Foreman, Henderson, Stevenson. Between the bunch in a full PPR scoring format, I have Stevenson and Henderson ranked highest. Thank you. Moving on. We had a question from Adam Monzo. Says, pick 2 standard league. Ayuk, Collins, Ridley, Olave. Yeah, if it's a standard scoring format and we're purely basing it off of yards and touchdowns, I'll take Ayuk and I'll take Collins there. Thank you. Dior Kev says, full PPR. I need a flex and a wide receiver too. Nico Collins, DJ Moore, Cortland Sutton, Javonte Williams, Alexander Madison, Darrell Henderson, Tyjae Spears. Stay hydrated. Okay, I will. Thank you. Appreciate it. And hit the like button. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, Dior Kev. In a full PPR scoring format, I will take Nico Collins and DJ Moore over the other remaining options you have available to you. Give me both those wide receivers. Thank you. All right, so really quickly, a reminder. For those of you who are joining us this morning, good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. I'll be here for the next hour and 50 minutes answering questions to the best of my ability. All the players that are on screen are for a half PPR scoring format ranked as of this morning, up to date, ready to go. Again, there are some questions regarding weather. There are some questions regarding game time decision players. We're going to keep that monitored as we progress throughout the live stream. So stick around, or at least come back within the next hour after you get your question answered, and or look at the potential rankings on screen to get your question answered, to keep in line with all of the updates in that regard. Outside of that, if you guys haven't yet already, do me a solid, click the like button down below. Also, if you guys want kicker and defensive rankings, I'll just update the graphic on screen for the next couple minutes here, and you guys can go ahead and look at those going forward. Greatly appreciate it. Let's see. There's another question sent in from Franklin. Franklin says, should I start Josh Jacobs, Pierce, Jeff? Okay, so we took care of that question. Do you have other questions? Okay, so Franklin had another question. He said, I received a trade offer today, and I want your opinion on it. He gives me Jonathan Taylor, Christian Kirk, and Josh Downs, I give away Amon-Ra and James Cook, standard format. Standard scoring league, you get Jonathan Taylor, and you give away Amon-Ra and James Cook, you get back Christian Kirk and Josh Downs. I'll take it. That's fine by me. In a standard scoring format, I'd rather have Jonathan Taylor than Amon-Ra rest of the season. As for James Cook, comparatively, James Cook in a standard format, considering he doesn't have as much upside for a touchdown, I think his value really is just yardage. You don't get any points per reception. I think I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that, especially if you're solid at wide receiver. I mean, you probably have to start Kirk rest of the season, but I don't mind that at this point, even in the return of Zay Jones eventually. Let's see here. Goodfella sends in a question. Thank you, Goodfella. Says, East Orange, New Jersey, 10 miles away, gloomy but no rain. Okay, listen, look at this. We're coming in with the updates. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Thank you, Goodfella. We'll go ahead and I'll ask you once again, in a while from now. Let's see here. Somebody in the chat, also named the Revis Island travel agent, says, I'm 10 minutes away from MetLife and it's pouring here. Okay, well, now we're getting conflicting reports. What's going on, guys? What's going on? What are we doing? Why are we trolling me? We need some consistent reporting, guys. Who's going to be my weatherman in New York? PPR from, okay, this is a question from ER. Thank you, ER. Says, PPR, one wide receiver, Deontay Johnson, Rice, or Dell. Between the three, I'll take Tank Dell. And you're already starting Nico Collins. I could understand that, but at this point, with Robert Woods out, I think I would just want to have all the Texans wide receivers and just hope you can get all the points there, because I think there's a pretty good volume that will probably be scored today. So I'm comfortable playing both the Texans wide receivers. Thank you. Let's hear. There's a question from Like the Jeans. It says, full PPR. Should I play Kendrick Bourne over Hunt in a full PPR? Let me see. Kendrick, that's my half PPR. Let's go to full PPR. Kendrick, we have at 67. And where's Kareem Hunt comparatively? So Kareem Hunt, I have ranked higher. If in fact, okay, but we don't know if Jerome Ford let me see here. Week 8 NFL. I need to see when in fact the Patriots play in comparison. So the Browns play in the afternoon slate. The Patriots play in the morning. We won't know if Jerome Ford is active till then. But if Jerome Ford still plays theoretically, where's my, okay, so my adjustment on Kareem Hunt would go to there, and he would then take over this spot. So let me go check. So technically, here's the thing. If in fact Jerome Ford plays, I would rather play Kendrick Bourne. If he doesn't, I'd rather play Kareem Hunt. We won't know until the afternoon slate and until after Kendrick Bourne is played whether or not Jerome Ford is active. So you're pretty much in a position to where you may have to just risk it for the biscuit with Kareem Hunt. And regardless of Jerome Ford's active nature, just let it roll there. I think that's kind of what I'm going to suggest in this position. Thank you. Or you could just play it safe and go with Kendrick Bourne. That's fine by me as well. I'm just saying. For now, if it's my team, I'm probably risking it for the biscuit. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, let's see here. We had a question that was coming in. For those of you who have sent in a question via Super Chat, I do greatly appreciate it. Be patient. I'm trying to catch up. Again, there's a lot of you and one of me, so I'm trying to catch up to the best of my ability. Let's see here. So we took care of Goodfella. We took care of ER. Jeans. Okay, so now we're at Travis Ward. Travis Ward, thank you very much. Travis says the following. Apologies, I have A.J. Brown and Olave. My backup to replace Swift would be James Conner, if that helps. Okay, so let me see here, Travis. In comparison. Okay, so that's A.J. Brown. So you have Allen, Mahomes, Swift, JT, A.J. Brown, Olave, Addison Garrett, Kelsey, and then if you trade away Olave, your backup to it, so your backup to Swift would be James Conner, and then Olave will be filled in with JJ going forward. Here's the thing, okay? When Justin Jefferson comes back, he probably goes back to scoring 25 a week. But with what Olave and Swift present is two players that could probably get you consistently 15 points. So technically, if we just talk about the build of your team, you'll have a higher potential of fantasy points if you have Connor alongside of JJ rest of season later on. It is a risky trade, and it will potentially make you lose a couple games here. But in the long run, I think it's a fine play there, Travis. I think it's fine. It's risky, as long as we both understand the inherent risk. But I think in terms of capturing a championship, I think you can do it both ways. I think you can keep what you have and capture a championship, but I also think you can go ahead and make this move and have potentially even more upside because we know what JJ's capable of every week. Thank you. We had a question that came in from Justin. Justin says, full PPR, Henderson, Foreman, Madison, Ridley, or Downs. Pick 3. Thanks. Okay. So of the bunch, it's going to be Henderson, Foreman, and Downs. Thank you. Moving on to Criminal Minds 06. Says the following. Start 2.5 PPR. Mixon, Downs, Pickens, Roschon, and Watson. Okay, so of the bunch, it's really just going to be between the 3 of Mixon, Downs, and Pickens. I just got to check who I have ranked highest. Let me see where Mixon is in comparison. Mixon, okay, I need to extend this. Okay, Mixon is there. Yeah, so my suggestion as of right now would be to play Pickens alongside of Mixon this week and bench Downs, bench Roschon, and Watson. Thank you. Moving on to A-Dub. Let's see where A-Dub's question is. A-Dub, where is the question? All right, A-Dub, I don't see your message in the chat. There wasn't anything attached to your super chat. So if you could do me a favor, A-Dub, and just type right now. If you're still there, greatly appreciate that. Thank you. Moving on to Cinco2X until we get A-Dub's response. Says, you have to start going live before Thursday night games. We be needing you, big bro, for real. Really? Before Thursday games? I mean, look, here's the thing. Let's think about Thursday's game, right? If Kincaid was your best tight end, you played him, right? If Josh Allen was your best quarterback, you played him. You probably started Mike Evans. You probably started Stephon Diggs. I mean, I had Gabe Davis low ranked because, again, like I said on Wednesday, if he's going to score a touchdown, you play him. And if you think he's going to score a touchdown, you better play him, right? So at the moment, outside of that, what else were we going to play? James Cook, Rachaad White, I had them relatively low ranked as they should be, primarily because, unfortunately, James Cook does not have touchdown upside every week. And Rachaad White purely depends on him getting 7 receptions and 70 receiving yards to being relevant. And by all means, he was able to accomplish that, but I probably wouldn't have suggested him over majority of the other guys that I had ranked over ahead of him. So, I mean, look, I hear you, but Thursdays are a packed day for my schedule. So I'll try my best maybe after Thursday night football games. But yeah, I think before is kind of it's a no way. But I do appreciate that. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Where are we at? So let me go ahead and update the rankings to get kickers and defense off screen to get the quarterbacks and tight ends back into the conversation. A-Dub had a follow-up question that he sent in via Super Chat. Now I see it. Thank you, A-Dub. It says, full PPR, I need 2. Deontay Johnson, Aaron Jones, Josh Downs, or Christian Watson. If I'm starting 2 of those 4 options in a full PPR scoring format, I'm probably playing Deontay Johnson alongside of Josh Downs. Thank you. We move on to... going back to Cinco2X. He says full PPR start to Madison, Henderson, Sanders. Out of those 3, I'll take Henderson and Sanders. Thank you. iShine101 says last question. I said I need upside badly, bro. What's your last question, iShine? iShine. My last question I sent. Okay, your last question you sent. So this was probably the last question you sent? No, this is. Between Sutton, Hunt, AJ Dillon, Dotson, Rashid Shaheed. Yeah, I probably am still gonna suggest playing Hunt and AJ Dillon. If you want to play somebody else, you can, but I don't think I'm really willing to go outside of those 2 options there. Thank you. Poseidon's Will sends in a question. Thank you, Poseidon. Hope you're doing well. Half PPR. I need 2 RBs and a flex between Pierce, Hunt, and Dell. An RB2 and a flex between these 3 options. In a half PPR, I'll take both the running backs. Thank you. I'll take Pierce and Hunt there. Appreciate it. Okay, so we're good there. Moving on with the following question from Jonathan, right? No, Jonathan's question message retracted. Okay, so that doesn't count anymore. Never mind. We had a question from Jesse. Let's see where Jesse's question is. Jesse? No? Jesse, I see you sent in the super chat. Don't have a message in the chat because it wasn't attached to it. So if you could do me a favor, type in the chat. Really appreciate that. Moving on to Boiler. 2147 says standard league Miles Sanders or Marquise Hollywood Brown. In a standard scoring format, 0 points per reception, I probably would still end up playing Marquise Hollywood Brown. Thank you. Moving on to Trey Perez. Says, good morning. I need help with my flex full PPR. Aaron Jones, Rashee Rice, or JSN. In a full PPR, considering those weather conditions, let me see where I have Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, I have there. I still have Rashee Rice ahead of him. Thank you. Moving on to Tim S. I see the ranks, but I'm still overthinking. I started Jamar Chase as my wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and flex. Wait, what? I started Jamar Chase in wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and flex. Pick 2, full PPR. Ridley, Rice, Watson, Garrett Wilson. Okay, so of the bunch, if I'm playing 2, I'd probably just end up playing Garrett Wilson and Christian Watson. If the weather is terrible enough in New York to where we don't expect them to be able to pass the ball comfortably, I would then just pivot to playing Christian Watson and Calvin Ridley. If Calvin Ridley's weather is too much in terms of rain, then we pivot to Rashee Rice. But if the snow in Denver is a disaster, just go back to playing Garrett Wilson and just keep Christian Watson as the consistent option throughout the bunch. Thanks, man. I know that's a little bit convoluted in terms of it, but considering the weather is ever-changing and the rankings would technically in its own right change alongside of it, that would be the play. Nick Davis sends in a question. Thank you very much, Nick. Says, half PPR, Laporta or Palmer, if healthy? That's a really good question. Let me actually check. Half PPR, Laporta. Laporta's at 58. Palmer's at 62. So even if Palmer's healthy, I'd probably still go with Laporta there. Thank you. Let's see here. Ghost Toast in the chat was asking Hopkins or Shaheed. I'd probably just play Hopkins there. Justin G in the chat was saying, I'm not sure if you answered this, but if you missed it, half PPR need 1, Dell, Downs, or Henderson. Pretty sure I have Henderson ranked highest. Let me check real quick. Henderson's 46, Downs is 47, Dell is 55. So Henderson's slightly higher than Downs, but one spot ahead of him. I'll take him out of the bunch. Denver is just snow showers right now. I mean, just snow showers. That's a lot, though. that could definitely make a definite difference there. Yeah. It's tough with that weather. All right, Cinco 2X says PPR, I need a running back. Who do I target for Puka Nacua? If you're trading away Puka Nacua for a running back, the one that I would probably look to try to get in exchange is someone like DeAndre Swift or potentially better. I'm okay with that if you can somehow buy low on a Tony Pollard. I mean, let's do it. But otherwise, probably looking for a DeAndre Swift or someone of that kind of caliber. If you could buy low on Bijan, I don't know if it's possible, but you could maybe find a crazy enough person. But otherwise, DeAndre Swift's probably the name that I would like to throw out there first and foremost. Thank you. Appreciate the question there, Cinco 2X. We had a question from Mr. Roberts. Reuben Roberts says, Taysom. What is it? No, that's not Taysom. That's thank you very much for. Thank you so much for everything. When you put TYSM, I was like Taysom Hill. That's immediately what I think of instead of thank you very much. Instead of okay. Anyway, you're welcome. Glad I can help. As for your question, full PPR Cooper or Downs? I'll take Downs this week. Thank you. All right. After that question, we have Dan Sek. Okay, so we're still looking for Jesse. Is Jesse in this chat maybe? Nothing from Jesse. And then we're looking from Dan Sek. Dan Sek says, bench Olave or Tank Dell or Deontay Johnson. I don't trust Derek Carr. I don't trust Derek Carr either, but I still think Olave is the best option out of the bunch. If I'm benching one, I bench Deontay Johnson. I'm playing Tank Dell alongside of, Chris Olave. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. Moving on to, what is it? Reaper Seeker. Reaper Seeker says, in a full PPR scoring format, 2 flex options, Lamb or Kenneth Walker and the flex. Full PPR, I have Lamb ahead of Kenneth Walker. My other RBs are Jonathan Taylor and Gibbs, Eckler. Okay, yeah, you're fine. And your wide receivers are Sun God and Diggs. Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay playing Lamb there in the flex. Thank you. King Shakur 21 says, I need a RB2, Chuba Hubbard, Madison, or Darrell Henderson. I like Darrell Henderson number 1, Chuba Hubbard number 2, Madison 3 in that order. So Hendo would be my suggestion. Thank you, man. We're moving on to a question from Reuven Roberts again. Is this another question? It is. Okay. My RBs are Madison, Gibbs, Brian Robinson. I obviously need a consistent RB1. I have Kupp, Puka Nacua, Cooper, Addison, Downs. What kind of a trade should I do? I mean, look, at this point, similar to what we were talking about. Okay, so this will be probably the primary suggestion. I don't know how easy it would be to trade away Addison when people know that, you know, Jefferson's eventually going to return. But if you can move Puka Nacua and try to get a top 12 RB option in exchange, specifically try to buy low on one of those, you know, players that are, you know, not playing up to their overall form that we know that they're capable of. If you could trade for guys like Swift, Hall, Bijan, Pollard, anything of that scenario, Kamara's of the group, anything of that nature, let's go for it. Even if you have to, I mean, I'm even in a position to where even if you have to move Cooper Kupp to go get an RB1, a top tier option, I'm okay with that as well. Go get a top 3 running back, or, you know, top 4 or 5 running back and trade away Cooper Kupp. I'm even okay with that, Reuven. Thank you. Let's see here. Criminal Minds 06 says, first place, full PPR. I have Burrow, I have Purdy. I have Lamb, Kupp, Puka, Olave, Godwin. I have JSN, Pacheco, Rashad White, Roshan, Jeff Wilson, Achane. McBride as my tight end. I need suggestions as to how to maintain standing and scoring more points. If you want to score more points, you got to get a tight end. If you want to get a tight end, you got to trade one of your top 4 wide receivers. So Lamb, Kupp, Puka, or Olave's got to be moved. Who you're going after, I mean, you try to go top to bottom. What does the Kelsey manager want? What does the Hawkinson, Andrews, you know, keep moving it down, Kittle, etc. What do those guys want? And if they want one of those 4 wide receivers, let's make an exchange equivalent. Boom, boom. Let's make a move. Otherwise, you take one of those wide receivers, and like I mentioned with the prior people that we've been talking about, you move a Kupp, you move a Puka, and you try to go get, you know, one of those top 12 running back options at the position in order to bolster your running back position until we get, of course, a guy like Achane back. But again, once you have Achane returning, him and Pacheco would be your primary starters every single week for the remainder of the season. And in a full PPR, most likely you want to play a wide receiver in your flex. So it's just a matter of like, can you move Olave and still get a top tier tight end? If you're able to do so, that's not a bad option. Reek Rose sends in a question, says, only one running back, Swift or Gibbs? If I'm playing only one of them this week, I'm playing Gibbs. Thank you. Michael Ortiz says, my guy, full PPR, 1 running back, 1 tight end, 1 flex. I have Henderson, I have Foreman, I have Najee, I have Cooper, I have Ridley, I have Palmer, Ferguson, or Pitts. Okay, so of the group, the 1 running back I would play is Henderson. The 1 tight end I would play would be Ferguson. Actually, do I have Ferguson ranked higher in a full PPR? Let me just confirm this. In a full PPR, I do, yeah. Okay. And then as for your wide receiver in a full PPR this week, considering Palmer is in that sketchy position, you don't have an alternative option in compare. Well, Okay, here's my suggestion. Hear me out, Michael Ortiz. You play Henderson, you play Ferguson, and you flex Palmer and Foreman. If Palmer plays tonight, you play him in your flex spot. If he doesn't, you play Foreman there. As for your follow-up question, should I drop Jacksonville defense for Atlanta? Depends what Jacksonville plays next week. Let's see here. Jacksonville next week, I think. Are they on bye next week? Let's see here. Let me see if I can find it. Week 9 schedule. They're on bye week. So you can drop them this week. You won't need them next week because they'll be on bye week. You'll have a better defense overall play this week taking on Will Levis. So I'm comfortable there. I got 9 new updates. Okay, let's see here. Here we go. What do we have here? Chiefs added Patrick Mahomes to the illness report. That's fine. That doesn't matter. He's going to play. Curtis Samuel active. Michael Thomas active. Zach Moss active. Trevor Lawrence. Okay, yeah, nothing. That's just normal stuff. Nothing crazy. Okay, cool. Moving on. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Brenton7. It says half PPR flex. Najee Harris, Tyler Lockett, Tank Dell, or Hendo. Half PPR out of the bunch, I'd probably play Hendo 1, and then I'd play Tank Dell 2nd. Thank you. If you want the highest upside, we could go with the Tank play, but I think Hendo's pretty safe. The Ocho says, half PPR, Brian Robinson Jr. or Miles Sanders, and Rice or Higgins. I'll take Higgins and Brian Robinson. Thank you. Moving on. We had a question from, where is it? Cool. So moving on from Ocho, we had Phil. Phil, thank you very much. Says, hey, Andrew, thanks for all the help for this season. Got me to 5-2 as of right now. Let's make it 6-2. That's right. Let's see here. Full PPR, Pollard or Nakua? Why do you do this to me, Phil? Why? Why have you done this to me? You gotta throw the really tough questions at me, huh? Pollard I have at 18, Nakua I have at 14. So I mean, oh, jeez. Yeah, that's it. I'm moving on. Puka Nakua is the play in a full PPR. I'll take it. Gosh, man, they're probably both in a full PPR going to score like 18 plus points anyway. It's just who has the more upside. I mean, if we get another one of those games from Puka, he finds the end zone on top of it. Like, dude, if this guy gets another 7 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown, like, it's going to be tough for Pollard to catch up to him. It really would be. Christopher sends in a question, says, half PPR pick 2, Brian Robinson, Demercado, Myers, Kirk, or Collins. The 2 that I would suggest in a half PPR scoring format would be Jacoby Myers and Christian Kirk. Thank you for your question, Christopher. Appreciate it. Moving on, we had a question from Chris Noonan. It says, good morning, Andrew. Full PPR, Amon-Ra, JT, or Mostert. Full PPR, I have Amon-Ra ranked the highest. Yes, I do. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on. I mean, I'd love to play them all, but I guess, you guys have too stacked of a roster. That's what happens. It's a blessing and a curse. Let's see here. We had a question from, let me make sure. Okay, we're good there. Spencer. Thank you, Spencer. I appreciate it. Spencer Paulavin says, 2 leagues, both PPR, flex 1, Ramondre, Collins, Henderson. If I'm flexing 1 in a full PPR, I'm playing Nico Collins. As for your second league, Pierce, Higgins, or Hunt. Let me see if I have Pierce or Higgins ranked higher. Let's see. Pierce is at 48. Higgins is slightly lower at 53. So as of right now, the suggestion would be Collins and Pierce. Thank you. DZ Dalla says, standard league, Deontay Johnson or Darrell Henderson. Standard league, no points per reception. I'll take Henderson there. Thank you. Moving on to Daniel Cap Keenan. Hope you're doing well, Daniel. Says, Andrew, is it bad that... Wait, what does it say? Andrew, this is bad. That's why I come to you. Full PPR, Foreman, Ford, Henderson, Charbonnet. With wire, has Singletary. Look for the one to get most catches and yards. I mean, if you're playing in a full PPR scoring format and you want one of these guys to catch the ball out of the backfield, none of them are going to do it. Technically, I guess Ford's the most equipped, but we don't even know if Ford's playing. So at the moment, it's either between Henderson and Foreman. With Roschon Johnson returning, we know that he is the preferred receiving back in the backfield. In comparison between Royce Freeman and Henderson, I guess Henderson technically is the preferred receiving back, but I'm going to assume taking on Dallas and that pass rush, they'll often keep Henderson in the backfield in order to chip block or pick up a blitzing linebacker. They play a lot of man coverage, 1 high. They do often bring a couple blitz packages within the overall scheme. That 5th overall rusher is obviously something that they need to protect Matthew Stafford from. So I don't think any of these options have receiving upside. But if I'm going to play one, it's probably Hendo or Foreman. I'll take Hendo this week. Okay. Other actives, Luke Musgrave, Jalen Ramsey, and Darren Waller. Yeah, that was expected. Keep it moving. Thank you, Daniel. We had a question from Cade Elliott. Cade Elliott says, hey, Andrew, should I drop one of my bench, Downs, Dell, Palmer, Christian Watson, Deontay Johnson, or Ridley, so that I could pick up Henderson and start him over Madison this week? Or should I keep it and keep rolling? I would probably make a move. If I'm you, who do I drop rest of season? I think I probably end up dropping Deontay Johnson or Palmer. I don't mind that. I think there's enough of a difference between Madison and Henderson to where it gives you a better chance of winning this week. And considering how much wide receiver depth you currently have, I don't mind making that move. Luis Castillo says, half PPR, would you trade away Mark Andrews for Puka Nacua and Godwin? My other wide receivers are Devonta Smith, Cooper Kupp, Ayuk, and Lamb. Why would you make the trade? Yeah, so if you're trading away Mark Andrews to bring in wide receivers that you don't need because you're playing Ayuk, Kupp, Lamb every single week, I mean, yeah, it just doesn't, it's not as appealing when you have Dalton Schultz as your backup tight end. So I'm not too interested in that, Luis. Thank you. Let's see here. We had a question from Doug Lamb. Doug says, I'm desperate for a running back PPR. Pierre Strong, Gainwell, or Gibson. If Jerome Ford does not play, I would like to play Pierre Strong out of the group. The issue in that scenario is that if Jerome Ford does play in the afternoon window slate of games, the issue becomes the Washington Commanders play the Philadelphia Eagles in the morning slate. So then you would need to find another additional pivoting option at running back to where I would be like, okay, let's go and let's try to play Pierre Strong. If Jerome Ford is active, pivot to Justice Hill, pivot to Jaleel McLaughlin, pivot to Roshan potentially, Joshua Kelly potentially, Craig Reynolds potentially. That would be my only pivoting options at that point. But yeah, I'd probably suggest let's try to play Pierre Strong if in fact we can. Chris B the RD says, standard league, Garrett Wilson or Olave. I'll take Olave this week. Trade Curb 47 says Henderson or Najee. I'll take Henderson. Non-PPR. Jags and Dallas defense are good. Yeah, they're both great plays this week. Thank you. Moving on to Travis Ward. By the way, let me just go ahead and throw defensive rankings on screen and kicker rankings so you guys can check those out. Again, appreciate it. If you guys haven't yet already, do me a solid. Click the like button down below. Takes 2 seconds out of your day, but continues to help support the channel. Continues to allow me to continue to bring you guys free rankings on screen every single Sunday morning for the remainder of the season, like we've done all season long. I always say I want to try to look. I don't take this too seriously. As much as like a lot of us are like, man, we got to win. Like I just want to help as much as I possibly can. And if I can make your guys' overall week better by giving you a suggestion that pans out and it plays well and it comes to fruition, that's all that I care for. So I'm just trying to help to the best of my ability. So I'm glad to, provide rankings. I'm trying to answer as many questions as possible. So if you guys could do me a solid, click that like button. Greatly appreciate it. Moving on to Travis Ward's question says, does Olave getting in trouble for speeding impact his season? No, he's not going to get it. No, he's fine. Just curious as to the league. Yeah, no, he's going to be perfectly fine. It's not a Henry Ruggs situation. He didn't kill somebody, right? There's a difference. Moving on to Rob Castle's question. Says, who do I start? I need 3. Tank Dell, Waddle, Ayuk, Addison, St. Brown. Also, I need 2 running backs. Pierce. Okay, so let's talk about these wide receivers. If you need 3 of the following. Tank Dell, Waddle, Ayuk, Addison, St. Brown. So St. Brown, number 1. Ayuk number 2, Addison 3. As for the 2 running backs that you need, between Pierce, Gus, Bijan, and Javonte, Bijan's number 1, Pierce is number 2. If you need a flex option out of the entire bunch, it would be Waddle. Thank you, Rob Castle. Appreciate it. Moving on to Diesel Dagger says, DJ Moore, Addison, or Pickens, wide receiver 2. I'll take Addison out of the group. Thank you there. Appreciate it, Diesel. Okay, after Diesel's question, where art thou? We move on to Dylan. Dylan says, PPR, pick 2. Sanders, Singletary, Dotson, McBride. PPR, pick 2. Oh, wow. Okay, let me see here. Decisions. It's actually got me scratching my head here a little bit. Out of the bunch, I probably end up playing McBride alongside of Sanders. Yeah, that's probably the 2 that I roll with there, Dylan. Thank you. Let's see here. We had a question from AJ97. Says flex Darrell Henderson, Foreman, Rice, or Roshan. Under the assumption it's a half PPR, I'll go Henderson there. Thank you. Let's see here. We move on to Skizzy's question. Let me find that real quick. Skizzy, thank you very much. Skizzy's question is the following. PPR, Rice, Downs, or Deontay rest of season. Rest of season is a lot different. I think rest of... Oh, wow. That's actually a good one. Rest of season, under the assumption that they really start to... I mean, I don't know if they will. I want to hope that the answer is Rashee Rice. I can't guarantee that's going to be the case. So with that probably being the case, and that not being like a smash play, I'd probably say it's between Rice and Downs. But for right now, I want to think it's Rice. Colin Smith says Aubrey over Butker this week with the weather. That's fine. I mean, look, the reason why I still have Harrison Butker highly ranked at kicker is because I went ahead and I looked back into the history of Denver versus Kansas City games. I went back to the last snow game back in 2019. Harrison Butker in that game, I even went back and watched the highlights. He was 3 for 3 in that game for field goals. They were relatively close, but still, there's still potential in which that could come to fruition. And he's a solid kicker. So I still have him relatively high ranked. But yeah, if you want to play Aubrey just to go ahead and avoid the weather, by all means, no problem with that. Moving on to a question from John Foster. John Foster says, full PPR, Devonta Smith or Joe Mixon? Really good question. I think I'm probably going with Devonta Smith there, assuming the weather is not a complete disaster. But that's the contingent factor. If the weather is disaster, then we pivot to Mixon. So yeah, if someone has got a, this is typically what I would suggest you guys do. I don't know if you guys have a Twitter or X account or whatever the heck. Usually, if you go and like type in Eagles at Commanders, let's see here. Yeah, if you literally go to the search bar on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and you type in Eagles at Commanders, okay? And then you go to latest, typically, eventually, there are going to be people in about an hour that are going to start posting like them, oh, I'm at the game, here's a picture of me, or here's a video of the field. And at that point, you'll be able to see, like 43 minutes ago, there were players warming up on the field. There is no rain in sight. You feel me? Like, you can get context as to what the weather looks like by just watching some of these clips. That would be my suggestion for those of you who are wondering for like each individual game. Like, actually, let me look this up. Chiefs at Broncos. That plays in the afternoon, so it's not available on Twitter yet, but eventually could be. Yeah, for now, just keep that in mind. The weather looks fine, just on what I saw 40 minutes ago at 8 a.m. So, Devonta Smith would be my suggestion there, John. Thank you. Moving on to I'm Gucci, you Polo says, full PPR, trade Pacheco and Deontay Johnson for Hawkinson and Shaheed. My starting lineup consists of Allen, Eckler, Etienne, Diggs, Addison, Hawkinson, JT at the flex. Traded Pacheco and Deontay Johnson for Hawkinson and Shaheed. You have Eckler and Etienne. You have Diggs and Addison. You bring in and you have JT. Yeah, I'm okay with that. That's fine by me. You get the tight end that you can start all for the remainder of the season. You were never going to play Pacheco over Eckler, Etienne, or JT for the remainder of the season. That's a fine trade by me. Thank you. Good trade, I'm Gucci. Appreciate it. Moving on to Jack R. Jack, thank you very much. Says, hey, Andrew, full PPR. Puka or Christian Kirk? I'll take Puka Nacua there. Follow up, Ferguson or Goddard? I'll take Goddard there. Thank you. Jimmy sends in a question. Says, full PPR, Henderson or Pickens? In a full PPR, I'll take George Pickens there. Thank you. Daniel Barnes. Let's see here, Daniel. Daniel Barnes says, full PPR, pick 2 running backs and a flex. Gibbs, Taylor, Swift, Bijan, or DJ Moore. 2 running backs in a flex would be Gibbs, Taylor, and probably Swift. Those are that's probably what I go with. Swift has just as much receiving upside as Bijan does. I mean, Taylor, honestly, is probably going to be throwing a bunch of check down passes. Gibbs, obviously, we know is receiving capable. The only issue that I have with Bijan in comparison is when we look at the matchups comparatively, Tennessee is a really tough run-stopping defense, and that just primarily instills fear in me in terms of starting him in comparison. I still have him, ranked. Where do I have him ranked on screen? I have him ranked as my number 13 ranked running back. Still a solid play, but in comparison to those alternative options, I think those alternative options of Gibbs, Taylor, and Swift are better in the given week. Thank you. Let's see here. We had a question from Conman Gem in the chat. Says, I know you have him ranked higher, but it seems like every time I play one over the other goes off. Kittle or Jake Ferguson. The reason why I'm so comfortable playing Kittle this week is because Purdy's playing, and Deebo Samuel's out another week. Last week, again, prior to the concussion for Brock Purdy, George Kittle was having a great game. Probably could have even had even more upside if, two of those offensive drives didn't turn into interceptions, right? So the assumption is that Kittle probably going to have himself another big week here in the absence of Deebo Samuel, for sure. Thank you. Moving on to the question that was, okay, so that was Barnes' question that he sent after. So we have to go back up to, okay, here we go. 313 Richo says, or Rico, whatever. I don't need, maybe it is Rico, technically. Says full PPR. Should I start Russell Wilson or Matthew Stafford? I would probably start Matthew Stafford. Thank you. Not probably. If it's my team, I'm starting Matthew Stafford. And there's no Rams bias. It's just, that's how I have it ranked. I have Matthew Stafford ranked as my number 14 quarterback. I have Russell Wilson as my number 21. Thank you. Moving on to Dre Day. Dre Day says the following. I just saw someone put Mahomes flu game. That's a good one, Cracker. That's not a bad one. Okay, Dre Day says, need upside, full PPR, flex Ridley or Tank Dell or Curtis Samuel. If I'm playing one of the three, I will play Tank Dell out of the bunch. Thank you. Chase McGraw says, if rain clears up, would you start Wilson over Downs? Yes. Yes, I would. If Garrett Wilson has no weather impeding his overall performance, I would play him over Josh Downs today. I would. Thank you. Moving on to Kevin Effect says, full PPR, second flex, start Joshua Palmer or Kendrick Bourne. Considering we don't know if Palmer's going to play, let me go look at the report real quick. Injury report, Los Angeles Chargers, Joshua Palmer. So here's the issue with Josh Palmer. Wednesday did not practice. Thursday did not practice. Friday limited practice. So even though he got a limited participation, that doesn't technically mean he was practicing like with the team. That could mean that he was on the sideline doing like rehab drills or anything of that extent. So for now, considering, I don't know if you've got an alternative option there, Kevin, to potentially pivot away from Palmer. Maybe you have Josh Reynolds for Monday night, or you've got somebody else in that overall game, to be determined. Either way, if you have a pivoting option, then maybe we could take that risk. Otherwise, you might have to just play Kendrick Bourne this morning. Thank you. We had a question from Sam Castillo. Let me go ahead and, okay, let's get to that. Full PPR, Aaron Jones, Henderson, or Higgins? Full PPR. Full PPR, I'll take T. Higgins out of the bunch. Thank you. Appreciate it, Sam. Let's see here. We had a question. Okay, so we took care of Sam's question. We have San Tom 21 says, half PPR, Singletary, Zeke, Sutton, Bourne in the flex. If I'm playing 1.5 PPR, I'm playing Cortland Sutton out of the bunch. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question from subject to change. Look, rankings are always subject to change. What a name. Half PPR, tight end, Michael Mayer or Taysom Hill. I will take Michael Mayer there. I have him ranked higher. Jawan Johnson's return certainly does impact Taysom Hill this week. Obviously, Taysom Hill's overall rushing upside isn't impacted, but I would assume based on the lack of rushing attempts in comparison to last season, from now, considering they have the alternative options of running the ball with Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams and Kendre Miller, he's a little bit of a lesser option in comparison to Michael Mayer. So I'll take Michael Mayer on Monday night in the second best matchup of the week. As for your follow-up question, flex Javonte Williams, Romeo Doubs, or Kendrick Bourne, I'll take Javonte Williams there. Thank you. Speak Your Piece says, tough options for running back 2. Should I start Stevenson or Aaron Jones? I would like to play Stevenson in comparison. I think they'll probably both get a similar number of touches. But again, the limited nature of Aaron Jones does kind of instill fear, especially if they get to a spot where, like, let's say A.J. Dillon is just running through the Minnesota Vikings defense, which he has done on multiple occasions throughout his career. Let me see this. A.J. Dillon. Let me look this up. A.J. Dillon in his career has been a monster against the Minnesota Vikings. Let's put this into perspective. Minnesota's matchups against A.J. Dillon. The last couple games, he has scored a touchdown in 3 consecutive games against the Minnesota Vikings. So, like, he's probably going to have himself a solid week here. And if, in fact, A.J. Dillon starts to cook, maybe they're like, all right, let's take it easy with Aaron Jones because, again, he's not 100%. He didn't have a full week of practice. Again, has been dealing with that hamstring. So, for right now, I'd lean towards Stevenson there, a half or full PPR. As for your follow-up question there, Speak, And could you give me a brief explanation as to, okay, so yeah, we got that, cool. For flex, Wilson or Ayuk, yeah, I'll take Ayuk there. Primarily because the only reason okay, so like in the first half of that game, Ayuk got a lot of overall receptions, I think he had like 50 receiving yards and 5 receptions in the first half. Second half, didn't even see a singular look. And obviously Brock Purdy, got hit in the head so hard, he stopped throwing into Ayuk's direction. So I'm probably in a position to think Ayuk, once again, with no Deebo Samuel, in a matchup in which he'll probably have to be keeping up with Cincinnati, should be the better option between him and Garrett Wilson. Thank you. Bacon says full PPR. I need a flex. Pick one: Rashee Rice, T. Higgins, or Sam Laporta. Between the three and a full PPR, I'm probably playing Higgins there. Let me confirm the rankings on my screen here. Let's see. My control function. Higgins at, okay, yeah. Higgins 53, Sam Laporta 65. There's a pretty big gap between the two. I'll take Higgins there. Thank you. Appreciate it, Bacon. Okay, so then we move on to D-Man. Yeah, D-Man. D-Man says, I was offered Mahomes, Jacobs, Olave for Saquon, Lamar, and Addison. You were offered Mahomes, Jacobs, and Olave for Lamar, Saquon, and Addison. I'm 2-5 with Mixon, Cup, Kelsey. Okay, so rest of season, Mahomes and Lamar, comparable value. I would probably lean towards Lamar, thinking just purely speaking, right? Purely speaking. When we compare Mahomes to Lamar, Lamar has missed a significant amount of games in each of the last 2 seasons, right? If we're just trying to purely set ourselves up for success, the higher likelihood of somebody just being a safer option would be Mahomes. And if they're comparable in terms of production, I'd rather have the safer option of Mahomes. So I'll take that. Between Jacobs and Saquon, I'd rather have Saquon. Between Addison and Olave, I'd probably think that they're relatively close in value remainder of the season. Man, Addison or Olave? I want to say that it's probably Olave, but barely. At this point, if you're trying to switch it up, just to like switch it up for the sake of just trying to mix up your roster before you get put into a bad scenario, I guess I could justify making the move, but I don't think you have to. I think it's more of a lateral pivot. It's like the quarterbacks are comparable, the running backs. Actually, you know what? Technically, if Lamar stays healthy for the whole year, the Saquon side wins. I think I'm okay with that. But again, it's sketchy. Let's see here. We had a question from Like the Jeans. It says PPR, overthinking now. Which are you most concerned about? Metcalf versus Cleveland or Bourne versus Miami? I'm always going to be more concerned with Bourne. I'm perfectly fine with Metcalf. Thank you. Moving on to Brandon Taylor. Says full PPR, Taysom Hill or Evan Ingram? Evan Ingram 1000%, especially in the full PPR format for sure. Skizzy, the Chiefs are my number 13th ranked defense. Just a heads up. Thank you. But yeah, those are the kicker and defense rankings for those of you who are joining us this morning. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on to Dorsey, 5001. Says, good morning, Andrew. Olave or Zay Flowers this week in a full PPR? I'll take Olave. Thank you. Anthony sends in a question. Says, full PPR best lineup: CeeDee Lamb, Cooper, London, Barkley, Hunt, London. You mentioned London again. Okay. Palmer, Dobbs, Jeff Wilson Jr., Boyd, Henderson, Roschon. Highest upside. Opposing team is projected higher. Okay. I mean, look, I'm not really concerned about what the opposing team's doing. We're just trying to set the best lineup possible for ourselves. So as of right now, of the available options you have, CeeDee Lamb's got to play. Your number 2 wide receiver would probably end up being London there. So it'd be CeeDee Lamb and London. As for your starting running backs, it would be Barkley as your number 1. It would probably end up being, let me see here. Who is ranked higher in a full PPR as that second option? In a full PPR, your second option would be Hunt, Kareem Hunt there. So it'd be Barkley, Kareem Hunt, CeeDee Lamb, Drake London. And in your final option, full PPR, considering we can't, do you have any pivoting options to Palmer? You have Dobbs, no, you don't have any pivoting options. You probably end up just playing Henderson there as your flex. So, or maybe Cooper. Let me check here. Where do I have Cooper in comparison? Cooper. Yeah, Cooper's actually ahead of him. So the suggestion as of right now, Anthony would be CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, Barkley, Hunt, and Amari Cooper there. Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it. All right, let me scroll back up here. Trying to, where are we? Goodness gracious. I do appreciate you guys being patient with me. Trying to catch up to the best of my ability. We move on to the question from Devin Snow. Says Ridley, Hopkins, or Edwards in the flex. Thank you. Assuming it's a half PPR, I will take Gus Edwards there. If it's a full PPR, I will then pivot to Calvin Ridley. You know, not confidently, but I would still do it. Let me actually look this up. Steelers at Jaguar. No, it's actually Jaguars at Steelers on Twitter. Jaguars at Steelers. Let me see the weather. Latest. Okay, it definitely looks like there's a... Wait, is it raining? Yeah, it is raining. Okay, yeah, so but it's not even heavy, though. Okay, we'll keep that monitored. We still got another hour. Okay. But for right now, if it's a half PPR, under the assumption, Devin Snow, I'll go with Gus Edwards there. Thank you. Moving on to Chris B, the RD, with another question. It says, full PPR, pick 2, Pittman, Henderson, London. In a full PPR, I'll take both the wide receivers. Give me Michael Pittman Jr., give me Drake London. Thank you. Flotation Swag says, PPR, please look at the mention on Twitter. Thank you. Okay. Flotation, I got you every week, my man. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Last week, I mean, at least Gus Edwards balled out for you, right? That was the good part. I don't see anything. Man, my Twitter's so slow. My internet must be lagging. Okay, here we go. Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, Roshan Johnson, Gus Edwards, Romeo Doubs, Chris Olave, Stephon Diggs, George Kittle, Devin Singletary. Our alternative options are Justice Hill. Not as comfortable with that. Odell Beckham. I guess. Is this a full PPR? I think it is, right? Because you got 16 points there out of him. 9 catches for 70. I don't know what kind of scoring format this is, actually. I'm going to assume it's a full PPR. If it's a full PPR, I might consider... Let me actually check. Do I have Odell ahead of Devin Singletary? Odell Beckham is there. Devin Singletary is ranked lower. So if it's a full PPR, I'll take Odell Beckham there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Otherwise, if you're comfortable with Singletary, I think the rest of your lineup is fantastic this week. You're good to go. Appreciate it, Flotation. John S. says, Jonathan Taylor, Swift, Hall, and Eckler start 3. Why have you done this to me? Of the 3, I would confidently start Hall, Eckler, and Jonathan Taylor. John S., thank you very much. Rick sends in a question, says PPR, but running backs get 0.3 per carry. Najee Harris or Amari Cooper. Under the assumption that Najee Harris, let's say, for example, he runs the ball 12 times today. Within his overall production, that's 0.3 times 12. That's an additional 3.6 fantasy points onto like the assumption he scored 8 originally. So that'd be 11.6 fantasy points in like but it's a full PPR format. Maybe he catches the ball one more. Okay, so let's say he scores like 8.5. Let's say he scores 12 by the end of the week. Can Amari Cooper outproduce 12 in a full PPR? 6 catches for 60. I think that's possible. I think that's actually not out of the... Yeah, I probably still... Oh, man, but not... Yeah. Dude, Najee Harris. If Najee Harris was more consistent, I'd feel more comfortable with it. But I think I'm still playing Amari Cooper there, to be honest. JD sends in a question, says, traded Najee Harris for Ridley this week. Did I F up? No, I don't think you did. I think you're fine there. Thank you. Moving on to Matt Davis. It says full PPR, Hubbard or D-Hop? I'm pretty sure I'm going to play Hubbard there. The issue that I have with D-Hop is that I don't know what Will Levis is. He's an unknown commodity. And because of that, it is just sketchy to consider him as the better play. I mean, I have Chuba Hubbard ranked at 74 in my flex full PPR, and DeAndre Hopkins is ranked 76. So they're 2 spots ahead, and next to each other, but I have Chuba Hubbard slightly ahead of him. Thank you. Moving on to Chris B. The RD says, pick 2 full PPR, London, Ridley, Javonte Williams. I'll take London and Javonte. Thank you. Paul, thank you very much. Says, hey, Andrew. Full PPR, trying to fill 2 running back spots and a flex. My RBs are Javonte Williams, Raheem Mostert, Raheem Mostert, and Aaron Jones. My flex... Okay, so let's see here. Let's fill in these running backs. Javonte Williams, Raheem Mostert, Aaron Jones. Give me Javonte and give me Mostert. Boom, boom, good to go. In my flex, I have Christian Watson. Not sure if I should swap him with Ferguson. No, I wouldn't. I'd keep Christian Watson there out of the bunch. Play Mostert, Williams, and Watson. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. Moving on to a question from Kevin Effect. Yeah, I did read your question, your super chat. Let me go ahead and let me see if I can. Yeah. So your question was Palmer or Bourne. I was saying that if you have a pivoting option on your waivers to potentially pivot from Palmer if he doesn't end up playing tonight, then I would try to play him. And like if he doesn't, you play Jamison Williams or Josh Reynolds on Monday Night Football. If you don't have a pivoting option, then you just play Kendrick Bourne this morning. Thank you. All right, moving on. We had a question from Mr. Andonian. Thank you very much. Andonian says the following. Where art thou question? Where the heck Andonian's question? Yeah, here we go. Mr. Andonian's question goes as such. Full PPR, pick 2 in the flex. George Pickens, Aaron Jones, Foreman, or Mixon. If I'm playing 2 of 4, I'll take Pickens and I'll take Mixon there. Thank you, Andonian. Appreciate it. Moving on, we had a question from Chris Cash. Says flex, Josh Palmer, Gus Edwards, or Marquise Hollywood Brown. In the flex, if it's okay, let's say for example it's a half PPR, I'll take Gus Edwards there. If it's a standard, I'll take Gus Edwards. If it's a full PPR, I'll take Marquise Hollywood Brown. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question from Dan Sek once again, but it wasn't attached. Dan, you got to start attaching your questions to your super chats, man. Yeah, because I don't know if I'll be able to find this one. All right, Dan Sek says play DJ Moore or Josh Downs. Yeah, I'll take DJ Moore there. Especially if it's a full PPR. In a half PPR, not as convinced. Thank you. Moving on. We had a question from Borja Gonzalez. Thank you very much, Borja. It says Rice or Watson at the flex. If I'm playing one over the other, I'm probably playing Christian Watson because of the weather concerns of Rashee Rice. Thank you. Bruno says, trade away Ayuk for Achane and Tank Dell. Yes, I'm okay with that. Moving on, we had a question from Gabriel Martin. Says, I need a wide receiver 2 in a flex between Javonte Williams, Michael Pittman Jr., Tank Dell, Curtis Samuel, and Cortland Sutton. Standard scoring format. Standard scoring, I would play Michael Pittman Jr. alongside of Javonte Williams. Thank you, Gabriel. Appreciate it. Moving on to Tommy Vu. Tommy Vu says, full PPR, choose one. Darren Waller or Nico Collins. I'll take Nico Collins there. Moving on to Cinco 2X says Cleveland or KC defense. Little detail, why KC put up 18 on, I don't even know what that means. THM? What does that mean? On them? Oh, okay. You forgot to put the E. Why KC put 18 up on them? I mean, look, last time these two teams played, Russell Wilson was a complete disaster, but they also played on a Thursday night. They didn't actually move the ball until the fourth quarter. I think they'll be far more equipped at home, a little bit more comfortable. They've been practicing in those conditions all week. I think KC will probably play a little bit closer to Denver this week than they did the last time they faced each other. I'm comfortable with the Browns because they're always in line to potentially score, a touchdown as a defense. Like last week, not only did they score a touchdown, not only did they have multiple sacks, fumble recoveries, field goals blocked, interception. Like this team was just cooking at all cylinders. So I'm okay with the Cleveland there. If you want to play Kansas City, play them. Listen, I don't got all the answers. But I'm comfortable playing the Browns there. Moving on to Caden Wiltz says, pick 2, Laporta, Goddard, and or Waddle in a full PPR. I'll take Waddle and I'll take in a full PPR. I think I have Goddard ranked higher. Let me check. Full PPR, I have Goddard ahead of Laporta. So it would be Waddle and Goddard. Thank you. Nunya says, hey brother, full PPR. Wide receiver is low-key stacked in a 10-team league. My starters are Puka Nacua and Shamar Chase. Okay. Who should I place in the flex? Collins, Garrett Wilson, Addison, or Flowers? I'd play Addison out of the bunch. Thank you. Moving on to Carlos Luckett. Says, full PPR. Flex, choose one. Darrell Henderson, Ridley, or Chuba? I'd probably just end up playing Darrell Henderson there out of the bunch. If you want like the ultimate, I mean, the risk it or, I just don't know if Ridley's going to do it, man. I'd hate for this to be the week that Ridley, as soon as we all avoid playing him because he's just been underutilized within the offense, that he has a monster week. It's possible. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but for right now, I just lean towards playing Darrell Henderson there. Lawrence sends in a question. Let's see where Lawrence's question ended up because it didn't attach to his message. Lawrence, if you could do me a favor, type in the chat because it wasn't attached. It'd be greatly appreciated. Leo IGL says, GOAT, PPR, non-PPR, excuse me. I have Herbert, I have AJ Brown, I have Myers, I have Bijan, Mostert, Schultz, and Flowers in the flex. I have Justin Jefferson and James Conner on my IR and Evan Ingram on my bench. Should I make any changes right now for this week or rest of season? Herbert, AJ Brown, Myers. I'd be pretty comfortable. If you want to play Schultz over Ingram, that's fine because of the non-PPR. Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind Schultz there. He has more touchdown upside. That's I can acknowledge that. That's fine. I wouldn't make any changes this week. And for rest of season, I mean, once you get Justin Jefferson back, I think you pretty much can have the rest of season should be solid. I think Mostert trade could be in line, though. I think you should probably look to try to trade Mostert before the return of Achane. Thank you. Isaac K says, Burrow or Goff? I have Burrow ranked higher, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go ahead and let me change the rankings on screen. Again, there you go. I have Jared Goff at 7. I have Joe Burrow number 6. As for defense, Chiefs or Seahawks, I have the Seahawks ranked higher. Thank you. Lance Knapp says, full PPR, Tank Dell or Kareem Hunt with Ford maybe back. I'll take Tank Dell there just in case. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question from Enemies Within. It says, pick 2, Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, Henderson, Foreman, full PPR. If I'm playing 2 in a full PPR, I'd probably end up being Garrett Wilson and Hendo, assuming the weather's fine. If the weather is a disaster, I'd probably end up playing Hendo and Foreman. Thank you. Moving on to M Dubs says, hey Andrew, standard league, need one. Saw flex rankings. Given the matchups, why Addison versus Jair Alexander over Edwards versus and Henderson? Okay, so here's the thing. Addison is not going to specifically play against Jair Alexander the entire game. They don't play very much man defense on the Green Bay Packers. It is a predominantly it's a zone defense. So they're not going to be trailing him for majority of the game. So I'm not too concerned about the potential of Addison being able to outproduce guys like Henderson and Edwards who are purely touchdown dependent. And then if we're just talking about touchdown upside between the bunch, Addison has obviously demonstrated that he has the game, the game-breaking ability of one catch for 70 yards and a touchdown, or to consistently score as a deep threat within this offense. So as long as Lamar continues to steal rushing touchdowns from Gus Edwards, and Henderson is going to be in a little bit of a position to where, unless they're lining it up on the 1 yard line and just continuing to allow him to plow it through, that's fine. But in comparison, Addison, I mean, it's tough for me not to roll with him there. In a standard league, I can understand it, I can justify it, but I still think that Addison probably gets more yardage than those other options. But yeah, if it's me, it's between Addison and Gus Edwards, but I'd probably still play Addison there. Anthony sends in a question, says, refer to last question, 2 flex spots. Why Dallas over Jaguars? Why Dallas over Jaguars? As in defenses? Is that what we're talking about? Either way, let me go back to your last question, Anthony. Anthony. Need 2 flex spots. Okay, so if you need 2 flex spots, so besides starting CeeDee Lamb, London, Cooper, Barkley, Hunt, and the last flex spot would go to, it's either Henderson or Palmer. In a full PPR, I'd like to play Palmer. Thank you. Moving on, let me see here. Did Lawrence send in anything? Let me see if Lawrence typed in the chat. Lawrence, anything? Nothing from Lawrence. Okay, Lawrence is probably off the scene. No problem. It is what it is. Moving on. We had a question that came in from, let me go ahead and scroll. All right. Damon Smith, thank you very much. Says full PPR. Very generous of you again, my good sir. I appreciate it. Full PPR. One's got to go. Garrett Wilson, Josh Downs, T. Higgins, Jordan Addison, or Drake London. If one has got to go out of the bunch, I mean, it's okay. So it's either Garrett Wilson or it's either T. Higgins. If Garrett Wilson's weather in New York is a disaster, let's see here. Is there Jets at Giants on Twitter? There we go. Let's look this up. How's the weather look? Latest. I mean, I'm looking at the field right now. Or how long ago was this post? I mean, Aaron Rodgers is slinging the rock, huh? How about that? 20 minutes ago. The weather looks fine. So if it's the bunch there in a full PPR, I think I'm probably playing Garrett Wilson, Downs, Addison, and London, and I'm probably leaving Higgins on the bench. Thank you. Appreciate it. Damon. Okay. Pronouncing my name. Okay. And by the way, Damon. Okay. Appreciate it, sir. Much appreciated. Thank you. All right. Jake B says standard pick one. Tank Dell, Brian Robinson Jr., or Jerome Ford. In a standard scoring format, I'd probably just play Brian Robinson's rushing touches are not great. I'd probably just play Tank Dell there as of right now in a standard format. Thank you. Appreciate it, Jake. Kelly Mural says, Johnston for Palmer if Palmer doesn't play. Yes, abso-freaking-lutely. That's a great pivoting option. Completely just did not even come to my brain. I appreciate that. Thank you. Mahomes or Burrow? Play Mahomes. Thank you. Let's see here. MIGZ says, start one, half PPR, Jeff Wilson Jr., Jamal Williams, Jerick McKinnon, or Charbonnet. If I'm playing one of the four, I'll take Jeff Wilson Jr. Thank you. Leo Benjamin says, Howell or Geno Smith. I know it's sad. It's not that sad. I have Geno Smith ranked higher than Howell, though. Let me see. Did Lawrence ended up typing anything in the chat? Lawrence? No? Okay, Lawrence is out of here. No problem. Moving on. We had a question that came in from... where are the questions? Let's scroll back up. Alan Ross, we took care of that. Okay, Leo, we took care of that. Jamal Smith says, I just traded Kittle / Sutton for Pollard and Downs. Congratulations. Wow. Jamal, firm handshakes. That is incredible. I don't know how you duped that, but well done. With that said, what will be the starting lineup? Full PPR, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. We have Etienne, Pollard, Pacheco, Foreman, Chase, DJ Moore, and Downs. Okay, so of the following full PPR, let me just confirm some things here. Where's my wide receiver rankings? Boom, boom, boom. Let's look at it this way. Okay, so of the following, 2 running backs and a flex, you have to play your 3 starting running backs. You got to play Etienne, Pollard, and Pacheco. Boom, boom, boom. You're good to go there. I'd probably end up playing Chase alongside of Downs. Thank you. Appreciate it, Jamal. Well done on that trade. Chase Wilbur says, start 2 PPR. Ridley, Dell, Gus Edwards. In a PPR scoring... Oh, man. I'll take Ridley and Dell in a PPR. Thank you very much, Chase. Appreciate it. Hunt, Foreman, Harris, Mostert, Edwards. Standard start 2. Hunt, Foreman, Harris, Mostert, Edwards. Mostert and Hunt. Those are my 2 suggestions there. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question that came in from Fabian Carrasco. Says, yo, Jalen Warner or Amari DeMercado? Lockett or Dell? I'll take Amari DeMercado over Warren, and I will take Dell over Lockett. Thank you, Fabian. Appreciate it. Brandon O'Leary says, pick 1 full PPR, Sutton, Dobbs, Curtis Samuel. If I'm playing 1 out of the 3, I have Cortland Sutton ranked the highest, Curtis Samuel second highest, third is Dobbs. Thank you. The Bus says Stafford or Russell Wilson. I'll take Stafford this week. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question from Fabian again. It says Minshew or Tyrod Taylor. I don't trust Tyrod Taylor against the Jets defense, so I'll take Minshew there. Thank you. Minshew Rainey is running wild. Moving on to Jonathan Del Angel says, 2 flexes in a full PPR, Aaron Jones, Romeo Dobbs, Marquise Hollywood-Brown, Joshua Palmer. I'd like to play Marquise Hollywood-Brown alongside of Josh Palmer there this week. I just don't know if we can guarantee. Yeah, look, that's the thing. I don't know if I can guarantee that Josh Palmer plays tonight. I guess if you have a pivoting option, you can go for it. But if you don't have a pivoting option, I think it's probably in your best interest to be careful with that scenario and just play like Aaron Jones and Marquise Hollywood-Brown. Thank you. Marcus Parker says, full PPR. Who has the highest upside and who has the highest floor between Sanders, Reynolds, Singletary, Akers, and Strong? Okay, highest floor out of the bunch is Miles Sanders. Highest upside out of the bunch is Josh Reynolds. Thank you. Moving on. Okay, so let's see here. We have quarterback and tight end rankings on screen. Somebody let me know if we need to have kicker and defensive rankings filtered in. I appreciate it. Scar Shiesty says, Tank Dell or DJ Moore this week, wide receiver 2. Standard scoring format. If we're talking about a standard, I need to score a touchdown to win kind of format, I'd probably end up playing Tank Dell. I think he's probably a little bit higher likelihood of a touchdown because when I think about CJ Stroud in comparison to Tyson Bagent, I think that CJ Stroud's going to score significantly more touchdowns. There may be even a possibility in which Bagent doesn't even throw a touchdown this week, in which obviously could end up hurting him. And of course, by proxy, DJ Moore. So I'll take the upside of Tank Dell and the idea that, of course, we're talking about a quarterback like CJ Stroud, who's consistently, nearly throwing 2 touchdowns a game all season long. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Okay. So this is from Awesomer 74089. It says half PPR Pickens, Lockett, Pierce, Henderson. Let me check who I have ranked higher. It's either Pickens or it's Pierce, but I don't know who I have ranked higher in my half PPR. Let's see here. Pickens is George Pickens there, and Pierce I have ranked lower. So George Pickens 36, Dameon Pierce 41 half PPR. So I'll take George Pickens there. Thank you. Angela Clark, thank you very much, says full PPR pick 2, Thielen, Myers, Addison. Curious if you rank them any differently in a full PPR. I don't think I do. Let me see. Okay, so half PPR, I have them ranked as Thielen, Myers, Addison. Let me go to full PPR. I have them ranked as Thielen, Myers. Thielen actually jumps in the rankings. Thielen's ahead of CeeDee Lamb in a full PPR, but I do have them in the same exact order. So for starting 2, I'd like to play Thielen and Myers. Those guys are monsters. If you want to play Addison over one of those options, be my guest. I think that's perfectly fine. I think they're all justifiable options. Half full PPR doesn't matter. And I think they're probably all going to score a lot of points. But if I was going to sit somebody for Addison between the bunch, I would probably sit Myers there because I kind of just want to play Thielen in all capacities. But yeah, Thielen and Myers would be my suggestion. Thank you. Moving on to Tony R. 481 says pick 4 out of the following. We have Kamara, Pacheco, Gibbs, Walker, and Bijan. Out of those 5 options, I'd play Kamara, I'd play Gibbs, I'd play Kenneth Walker, I'd play Bijan Robinson. Thank you. Assuming that's half PPR. If it's a full PPR, it could change, but I'm going to assume it's half. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question that came in from, where is it? So after Tony R's question, we had Roy Shaver. Roy Shaver says, why have you moved Hunt above Stevenson? Primarily because Jerome Ford is likely not going to play. And additionally, when I look at the overall, so when I was watching back the game between the Patriots and the Bills last week, so I watched this, I would say it was Monday night going into Tuesday prior to no, it wasn't. It was Wednesday going into Thursday. When I was watching the game back, there is a clear thing to where the first drive of the game, it's all Ezekiel Elliott. Second drive, all Ramondre Stevenson. Third drive, back to Zeke. Fourth drive, back to Ramondre. They're going every other series. And that in itself does hurt Stevenson's value a significant amount in comparison to Hunt, who will probably be in the rotation for almost the entirety of this game. And yes, he'll be subbed out for a couple rushing attempts going in the direction of Pierce, or sorry, not Pierce, Pierre Strong and or Jerome Ford if he's active. But yeah, the fact that they're rotating and the fact that Stevenson's lost a rushing touchdown each of the last 2 games to Zeke is concerning. So I'll just play with Hunt and the guy that is going to get the goal line attempts within his own offense. Thank you. Moving on to Caleb Vasquez says, Higgins or Henderson? I'll take Higgins over Henderson in a PPR. So Higgins is my suggestion. Ron Nichols says, pick 2 half PPR, Stevenson, Gus the Bus, or Pierce. Out of those options in a half PPR scoring format, the rankings on screen would pretty much give you guys my answer. I'll take Gus Edwards and I'll take Dameon Pierce. I'll bench Stevenson there this week. Thank you. Moving on to Didi. Didi says start in the flex. Devonta Smith, Sam Laporta, Aaron Jones, or Madison. Devonta Smith is my suggestion there, Didi. Thank you. Moving on. Bourne says, can we see defensive rankings? Absolutely. Let me go ahead and change that right now. Dave says, I apologize for the Jeff Wilson Jr. comment last week. I hold that out. You don't have to apologize, man. Listen, fantasy is all about just random outcomes. The fact that he didn't even score. Look, I know, Dave, I'm assuming you were the one that were like, yeah, you should have had Jeff Wilson Jr. higher. I don't even care. Like, listen, the thing is about fantasy football, I even thought Jeff Wilson Jr. should have been a top 36 option last week. What did he do? The guy caught the ball one time last week, right? So it's not about like apologizing. It's just like, hey, we live and we learn, and we continue to get better at fantasy football as we continue to learn throughout all the experiences. It's not a matter of like, you got to come out and make a public apology, man. This is just the random acts of variables that take place every single week, and we're not all going to be right. So, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. That's why you don't see me coming out on Mondays crying and giving apologies, because there's nothing to give an apology for. It's just a matter of like, there's a difference between bad advice and inaccurate outcomes, right? Like, giving bad advice would be like, hey, you should start Jeff Wilson Jr. over Tony Pollard this week. That would be bad advice. A bad outcome would be Jeff Wilson Jr. outscoring Tony Pollard this week, right? So that's just, it just happens. It is what it is, man. Don't worry about it. Drew F says, howdy, Andrew. Half PPR. Flex, Downs or Henderson? I think they're ranked next to each other, dude. Let me check. Half PPR. Henderson is 46. Josh Downs is 47, dude. Yeah, they're back to back. I have Henderson one spot ahead of him. Play the guy that you feel is going to score the highest. Go with your gut feeling on that one, because it's really close. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Grit. He said, Flowers, Wilson, Pickens, rain in Pittsburgh. All right, let me see here. Jaguars at Steelers. Let's see how the rain is looking right now. I spelled Steelers wrong. How did I do that? All right, here we go. Let's click on this. Okay, so here we go. Let's look at the weather report. Okay, so there's a couple videos. This one was from 13 minutes ago. I gotta mute this. My goodness, it's loud. It doesn't look like it's actively raining as of 13 minutes ago. It could probably start again, but it definitely was raining. I do remember it saying it was raining. So I will acknowledge that does play a factor. It could end up restarting once again. I still want to play Pickens. I still think they're going to throw the ball a pretty good amount. If you're worried about it, technically you could pivot to Flowers. That's fine by me. Great. I think they're close enough in my rankings to where it doesn't bother me. Moving on. Reuven Roberts says, I was offered Bijan Robinson for Puka Nacua. I'm trying to have him add Myers for Cooper as well. If he doesn't do it, do I go ahead and make the trade? I'm okay with the trade. I'll take Bijan rest of the season. That's fine by me. I like that trade. Thank you, Ruben. Moving on to Nathan Gutierrez. Nathan Gutierrez says, hey, Andrew. How's your weekend? I don't have weekends. I just have fantasy football. That's it. Moving on. I traded Christian Kirk and Harris for Jacobs. Thoughts? Let me see here. So you traded Najee Harris and you traded Christian Kirk for Josh Jacobs. I'm okay with it. I think if you're in let me see here. What do you have on your team? My wide receivers are Kupp, Adams, and Johnson. Nacua. Okay. This makes sense. That's fine by me. I'm okay with making that move. That's fine by me. I mean, obviously, Jacobs is the better option in comparison to Harris rest of the season. When you compare Jacobs and Kirk, obviously, they're probably in a position to where they could score comparable amount of fantasy points in a full PPR. But in terms of getting yourself more running back depth going forward, I'm fine with the Jacobs move there, Nathan. Thank you. I think it's a solid trade. All right, moving on. Let's see here. We need to scroll down and find a couple more of these questions that were sent in. We have Nathan Gutierrez. Okay, so after Nathan, we have Tony R481 says full PPR pick 4 Kamara. Okay, so we took that one. We took care of that one, right? Okay, we did. Why am I seeing that again though? Tony, if you didn't hear me the first time around, yeah, I'll bench Pacheco out of the group. I'll play all the other options there though, as of this week. Thank you. From the ground up says full PPR pick 1 Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett, Curtis Samuel in the flex. If I'm playing one in a full PPR, I'll take Amari Cooper. He's ranked highest in my PPR format rankings. Chris, excuse me. Chris Berardi, yeah. Chris Berardi says, hey man, who should I play in the flex this week? Half PPR, Christian Watson, Amari Cooper, or Deontay Foreman? I'm fairly certain I have Deontay Foreman ranked the highest. Let me just go ahead and confirm that. Foreman. Foreman is there. Yes, I have him over the other two options alternatively this week. So I'll take Deontay Foreman. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Moving on to Vic84. Says full PPR, Goddard, Lockett, Watson, Downs, Ford. I'll take Downs there. Thank you. Anthony says, explain Jaguars projection, but Dallas on 7th on your list. Explain Jaguars projection? What do you mean projection? I'm confused. Like as in what the fantasy apps are projecting them? I don't care what fantasy apps are projecting them. I have a different, like here's the thing. I have my own system of determining like overall projections, right? Like I have my own metric system. I don't look at any of the ESPN or Yahoo or sleeper projections. So like this is the way I rank it. This is my expectation. When you go ahead and you look at the point total of these games, like let me pull this up. I mean this is one of the primary metrics, but it's not like this is the end all be all, obviously, because every variable it changes. But if I go to okay, where are we at? Why can't I find it? I can't find it. Okay, I'll come back to this. But yeah, look, if you want to play the Jaguars, play the Jaguars. I have the Dallas Cowboys higher. Just my opinion. Just the way that my entire system kind of spams it out and it figures out kind of how I'm going about it. But yeah, that's how I'm going about it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on. I got to figure that out, though. I got to go find what I was looking for, Anthony. But I'll find it in a minute. Let me just catch up on some of these questions. Matt Glore says, pick 3 PPR, DJ Moore, Hollywood Brown, Mixon, Tank Dell, Darrell Henderson. Thank you, brother. Okay, Matt Glore. My suggestion would be to play. I think I might start all 3 wide receivers there. I might just play Hollywood, DJ Moore, and Tank Dell there. That's my suggestion, Matt. Thank you. Let's see here. Okay, so now I'm catching up. Jorge Perez, let's see here. Jorge, what are we at? Jorge Perez says, good morning. Full PPR. I need 1 running back and 1 flex. Mixon, Foreman, Jeff Wilson, Sanders. Okay. Mixon, Foreman, Jeff Wilson, Sanders. Out of those bunch, if I'm playing one singular running back, I'm playing Mixon. Follow up, McLaurin or Addison in the flex, I'll play Addison. Follow up, should I play the Cowboys or Browns defense? I currently have the Browns defense they're behind the Cowboys. Never mind. If you want to play the Browns, you can. You want to play the Cowboys, you can. But I have the Cowboys ranked higher. Follow-up question to that. Would Kyler Murray be a good pick as a backup quarterback? Yes, he would be. As long as you have an available open IR spot. And of course, the bye week of your quarterback that is currently your starter aligns. Thank you. The only person who needs to apologize, says Jack, is Arthur Smith. I don't think he needs to apologize either. I mean, he's just doing his job. I don't know what else you guys expect of him. Hive Salon says, Zay Flowers or Devontae Adams and Madison or Moss. I'll take Madison over Moss, and I'll take Devontae Adams over Zay Flowers. Thank you. Jerry Garcia says, Phil 2 flex, half PPR, Miles Sanders, Rashee Rice, Madison. If I'm playing 2 in the flex, half PPR, I'll take both running backs. Give me Sanders and give me Madison. Thank you. Moving on to the real Cole Grant says, full PPR, flex Palmer, Roschon Johnson, or Deontay Johnson. If you don't have a pivoting option from Palmer, play Deontay. Thank you. Hakima says, I traded Waddle and Jerome Ford for Devontae Adams and Zach Moss. In an 8-team league, 7th place, I was able to keep Olave, Kelsey, Saquon, and Gibbs. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, I prefer Adams over Waddle. I prefer Ford over Moss. Technically, considering you have Saquon and Gibbs, I guess you're okay with it. And it's probably just an upgrade across the board. And it's an 8-team league, so it's relatively thin. I'm okay with the trade. I don't mind that, Hakima. I think that's beneficial, especially if, in fact, we do see it's not about if we do see, it's when we see Devontae Adams get back on track, which hopefully will be this week, starting Monday. Brian Sulk says, I'm 4-2, 10-team PPR league. It's impossible for you to be 4-2. You either have to be 5-2 or 4-3. Moving on. Weak running backs. Would you trade Puka Nacua and James Cook for Kenneth Walker remaining? I think you're giving up a lot in exchange. In a 10-team league, I still think that's a lot. Remaining will be Chase, Deontay, Downs, Ridley, Rice, Mixon, Ford, Warren. Yeah, I think you're giving up a lot. I think I'd keep what you have. Thank you. Moving on to Jamal Smith says, who do I start on my defense? Cowboys, Jaguars, Hopkins. Man, why is everybody on this Jaguars, Cowboys jazz? I mean, what's going on? Am I crazy? Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. What's going on with the Jaguars today, guys? I know the Jaguars are good, but like, are we? What's happening? Like, I'm so confused now. Let me see here. Where are we at? Where are we at? Yeah, I don't get it. I'm gonna play the Cowboys, and if it's between Hopkins and Aubrey, I'm gonna play the Aubrey. So I'm gonna play both the Cowboys spots there, Jamal. Thank you. Duro Madi says, "Sup, Andrew? 12 team, full PPR, flex 2 options. Sorry, that's not even the question. Sup, Andrew? 12-man league, PPR 2 flex spots. I trade Mike Collins and Najee Harris for Thielen. And how wary should I be of the Panthers adding Judy? I wouldn't be wary of it. I honestly don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they want to trade for Judy. I mean, they might, but I don't think it's going to impact Thielen that negatively. Am I willing to make this trade of sending away Collins and Najee Harris for Thielen? I don't know if I want to trade for Thielen right now, to be honest. Even with the lack of a looming potential option coming in. Okay, let's say, for example, you're in a 12-team league and you have enough depth at running back and you're like, listen, I got 3 studs. I got studs at wide receiver, but I just want a little bit of an improvement. I'm okay to make the move, but I don't know if I'm... Man, if the Panthers make a crazy trade and bring in somebody that's actually relevant that could impact them, it could be sketchy, but I don't think it happens. So I don't mind making the move. That's fine by me, Duro. Papa Bless says, pick 2, Ridley, Madison, Marquise Hollywood Brown. I'll take Ridley and I'll take Marquise Hollywood Brown there. Papa Bless, thank you. Shane Howard says, Andrew, defense, Texans or Browns? Who do I have ranked higher? I have Texans at 10. I have Browns at 8. I'll take the Browns this week. Thank you. Alex Sondergrass says, hey, Andrew, 6 point per passing touchdown, Burrow or Stroud? I'll take Burrow this week. Thank you, Alex. Moving on. We had a question from Rogo. Says, hey, Andrew, 3 and 4, half PPR. I have one running back, Aaron Jones or Chuba Hubbard, and why? Look, here's the issue, right? Aaron Jones, I don't think is going to be full. Okay, look, maybe if Matt LaFleur lied often, I'd be like, okay, we can't trust Matt LaFleur, and we can't take his word for it, right? So I'm of the position of like, if he's going to say that they're going to be limited with, Aaron Jones, I would expect that to be the case. Because otherwise, if Aaron Jones would have practiced fully if he wasn't in a hey, I'm still recovering from the hamstring issue. So that's my biggest concern. I think if we're talking about the comparison between the two, I think there's just as high as the likelihood of Chuba Hubbard getting just as many touches and potentially also getting the goal line work of this offense, which leads me in the direction of playing Chuba Hubbard there. Also, what's the differences between Andrews and Goddard? Touchdowns. That's literally it. Goddard has scored 2 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. I think Mark Andrews scored 3 in the last 3 weeks. That's literally the only difference. That's it. And potentially a little bit of the weather concern. That's about it. Connor says, full PPR, trying to figure out flex, RB2, and super flex. I have Stafford, Bijan, Kenneth Walker, Downs, Christian Watson. Yeah, my suggestion is play Kenneth Walker, play Bijan Robinson, play Matthew Stafford. Also, Njoku or Logan Thomas. I have Njoku just slightly ahead of him, but if you want to play Thomas, you can. But I do prefer David Njoku coming off a week in which he had 9 targets from PJ Walker last week. But yes, again, RB2. Figure out flex, RB2. Yeah, so yeah, flex is Kenneth Walker. RB2 is Bijan. Super flex, Matthew Stafford. No problem. Thank you. And then that's it. Cool. Moving on. We had a question that came in from, where art thou? Okay, so after Connor, we had a question from Dual Walkthrough. Says, start 2.5 PPR. Javonte Williams, Jerome Ford, DJ Moore, Henderson. Javonte Williams would play alongside of Henderson this week. Thank you. Moving on to Travis Hayes. It says, bad idea to start Sanders and Hubbard? No, I don't think so. They play against Houston. Houston's one of the best matchups at the position. So I don't have a problem with it. If I'm not mistaken, it's like top 10 at the position. Let me see, actually. Let me pull it up. Let's go to my Excel spreadsheet, running back rankings, strength of schedule. The Houston Texans are allowing the 12th most points. They're allowing 13.47 points per game, 85 rushing yards per game to opposing running backs on average this season. Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid matchup. Let me see what DVOA looks like in terms of Houston. But yeah, I don't think it's a terrible matchup. I mean, I think it's a advantageous matchup in comparison to a lot of the others. The issue is like, what's your alternative option to starting two backs on one team, you know? But otherwise, I'm fine with it. Where are we at? Okay, so a couple more. Okay, so after that, we move on to I Like Blue says, good morning. Pick 2, flex full PPR. Swift, Bijan, Downs, Pittman. Yeah, give me both running backs. I will take Bijan and I'll take Swift there. Thank you. Moving on to David Garcia says, what's your week 8 picks, game picks straight up? Game picks straight up. Whew. Listen, man, I'm going to get them all wrong, but here we go. Pay attention closely. Week 8 picks straight up, okay? Jets versus Giants, I'll take the Jets. Jaguars versus Steelers, I'll take the Steelers. Eagles versus Commanders, I'll take the Eagles. Cowboys versus Rams, I'll take the Cowboys. Vikings versus Packers, I'll take the Vikings. Falcons versus Tennessee Titans, I'll take the Falcons. Patriots Dolphins, I'll take the Dolphins. Colts and Saints, I'll take the Colts. Texans Panthers, give me the Texans. Browns and Seahawks, give me the Browns. Bengals 49ers, give me the Bengals. Chiefs and Broncos, I'll take the Chiefs. Ravens Cardinals, I'll take the Ravens. Chargers Bears, I'll take the Chargers. Lions Raiders, I'll take the Lions. Thank you. I think the only upset there truly is Bengals over 49ers. Miguel sends in a question. Miguel Saldana, yeah, says non-PPR, pick one in the flex. Henderson, Myers, and or Kirk. I'll take Jacoby Myers there. Thank you, Miguel. Appreciate it. Moving on from that question, we have the following from Nathan Gutierrez. Let's see here, Nathan. All right. Prior to my last comment, he dropped Harris. Pick him up off waivers. Haha. Start Henderson over Najee. Yeah, I'd still play Henderson over Najee. It's fine by me. I would still do that. Thank you. After Nathan Gutierrez's question, we play. Okay, there's Robbie P. Where's Robbie's question? Control F. Robbie. Robbie P says, hey, Andrew. I listen to you every week, man. Great content. I appreciate that, Robbie. I got offered Thielen for Olave and Waddle. You got offered Thielen for Olave and Waddle? Yes, accept it. Please take it now. I have Christian McCaffrey. I have Pollard. I have Kenneth Walker. Yes, accept the trade. That's fantastic. Take Waddle and Olave. Yeah. Thank you, Robbie. Appreciate it, man. All right, we have Hive Salon or Salon says Kirk or Myers. I will take Myers over Christian Kirk. Addison or Sutton. I'll take Addison over Sutton. Thank you. JD says no word on Ford yet. Yeah, Ford doesn't play until the afternoon, so we won't know until around 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time until whether or not he's available. So if you're starting Kareem Hunt or Tank Dell in a full PPR, let's see, full PPR. Let's see, Dell is here. Yeah, let's just play Tank Dell there. Let's not make any risky plays. I'll take Tank Dell. Thank you. Moving on to the question from Carlos Luna. It says pick one to drop full PPR. Gus Edwards or Foreman. If I'm dropping one, let me check something real quick. I need to open up one of my tabs here. Let's look up Herbert. Khalil Herbert returns in week 10. If I'm dropping one of the two options, I'm dropping Foreman under the assumption that, of course, the Ravens don't trade for a running back in the next 2 days, and that Gus Edwards remains as a starter for the remainder of the season, and that, of course, the return of Khalil Herbert would make this backfield a complete committee situation. Thank you. Moving on to Farrell. Farrell says start 2.5 PPR. Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Brian Robinson Jr. I'll take both wide receivers. Give me Garrett Wilson and give me Drake London. Thank you. Moving on to a question that came in from Fabian Carrasco. Thank you again, Fabian. 49ers or Lions defense? Oh, Jesus, Meezus. I don't even have the 49ers defense ranked, and I have the Lions at 12. So, with that being said, and I also think that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to win. So I'll go ahead and I'll suggest playing the Lions defense on Monday against the Las Vegas Raiders. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on to, let's see here. May JT says, start 3 half PPR, Eckler, Kamara, Taylor, Hall. Okay, guys, reminder, for those of you who are joining us this morning, good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. I've been answering questions to the best of my ability as fast as I possibly can. Again, the rankings to the right side of the screen are up to date as of this morning. So as to your question, May, Eckler, Kamara, Taylor, Hall. I have Hall at 3. I have Taylor at 5. I have Eckler at 6. I have Kamara at 8. Kamara is the odd man out. It's kind of crazy, but in half PPR, I would go about it as such. Thank you very much. Moving on, Marvin Lewis. Good morning. Standard, Goff or Cousins? I have Goff at number 7. I have Cousins at number 10. I think they're both fantastic plays. They're both in the same tier of quarterback for this week, so I could justify one over the other, but I do like Goff this week, potentially getting back on track and having a far better performance than what he kind of demonstrated last week for sure. Moving on to Lance Rebo says, just came out of coma. Why is Breece Hall so high? Wait, what? What do you mean you just came out of coma? What are you talking about? I'm going to assume that you're not joking, okay? If you did just come out of a coma, welcome back. Why is Breece Hall so high? He plays against the New York Jets. The New York Jets are not only allowing a whopping 122 rushing yards per game to opposing running backs thus far this season, on average. They're also allowing 4.99 yards per attempt, 19.06 fantasy points per game to opposing running backs off running back rushing statistics alone, which are rushing yards and rushing touchdowns combined. And in the last 2 games in which we've seen Breece Hall as a full participant and not limited, he has had back-to-back games of over 17 fantasy points. Coming off of the bye week, even more healthy, absolutely is going to tear apart this defense. So for those of you coming back from a coma, welcome back. And yeah, that's why. Moving on to Assad Khan. Says, good morning. Dameon Pierce or Deontay Johnson in a full PPR? Let me check my rankings in a full PPR to confirm if it's Deontay or if it's Pierce. I have Dameon Pierce ahead of Deontay Johnson. Thank you. Appreciate the question, though. Moving on to AJ Wright. AJ, where's your question? Did it get attached? AJ Wright says, Mr. Kirchhoff, pick one in the flex. JSN, DeMercado, Ridley, Ferguson, or Jeff Wilson Jr. half PPR. If I'm playing one in a flex capacity, half PPR today, I'm playing Ridley. Yeah. Thank you, AJ. Appreciate it. Where are we at here? Alrighty. Where are we at? Alex Olivas says, hey, Andrew, half PPR, last flex spot, Ridley, Dell, or Palmer. I'll take Dell there. Start 2. I've read that Palmer is a game time decision. Also, Browns or Cowboys defense. Yeah, I'll take the Browns. It's fine. I'll take the Cowboys. As for Ridley, Dell, Palmer, if we're starting 2 of them and if you don't have a pivoting option, yeah, let's just play Ridley and Dell and let's just not have to worry. Why no Chiefs defense? I have them ranked 13th. It's not a matter of like, I'm not suggesting them technically in terms of the rankings list, they're not on the top 12. But I do think that it'll be a closer matchup than people anticipate. Let's see here. Constantino says, what's up, my G? PPR, Hunt or Hendo? I'll take Hunt there. Also, Lockett or Michael Thomas? I'll take Lockett and I'll take Hunt, Constantino. Anthony says, 1 point per reception. Roschon Johnson if Palmer can't go, or Henderson. I think I just play Hendo there, and I'm not even going to risk it. David Morgan says, Andrew, big help last week. Thank you. Pick 2 in the flex. Rashee Rice, Palmer, Cortland Sutton, Tyler Lockett, or Hunt. If I'm playing 2 in the flex this week, I'll play Kareem Hunt alongside of... I'd probably play Kareem Hunt alongside of Rashee Rice there. Thank you. Again, that's assuming you don't have a pivoting option for Josh Palmer tonight, but I'm going to assume you don't. So I just suggest Rashee Rice preemptively. What's your level of concern with Josh Palmer? I'd probably say like I'd say there's a 40% chance he doesn't play, 60% chance he does. So like it's enough to where it is concerning to where if you don't have a pivoting option, let's just be careful with it, you know? Okay. I think I've caught up, man. The only thing I really need to do is I need to wow, I just accidentally zoomed out my entire okay, hold on. Whoa. I went back to okay, here we go. We're back. There it is. We had a question that was just sent in from Albert. Albert, thank you very much. What's up, Andrew? Javonte Williams or Watson PPR? I'll take Javonte Williams today. That's fine by me. Thank you. Weather update in Pittsburgh. Yeah, let's look at it. Notifications. Jaguars at Steelers. So as of oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay, here we go. Latest. Okay, so as of 20. Wait, what is this one from? Whoa. Hold up. 27 seconds ago. Man, there's a lot of posts. As of 1 minute ago from the Jaguars social media team, it's not raining. I'll tell you that much. But it could. I mean, people got beanies, hoodies, and all of the above on. But I'm looking at Kenny Pickett throwing the ball on the field. Not raining. Okay? It could start to rain. The weather looks like it's a gloomy overcast. But, you know, for now, no rain. That's the only update I got. Thank you. Okay. We're good. We're good. Head Shop says, greetings and salutations. Can the weather be bad enough to start Tank Dell over Garrett Wilson? It could be. Let me just check. Let's see here really quickly. Let me see. So the Giants it says Jets at Giants, excuse me. Let's see here. So let's look up Jets at Giants. Let me look at the weather in New York right now. It's definitely raining. As to how much of an impact it's going to make, look, I think the rain is enough to where both these defenses are going to be good. But I think the running game is going to be the most predominant factor here. The only question is, can we trust Zach Wilson in itself, by himself, in perfect conditions? And then can we also trust him in terrible conditions? I don't know if we can. I think it's a justifiable pivot to play Tank Dell in the case of Garrett Wilson. But in a lot of scenarios, you don't have anybody that's significantly better or even close to ranked than Garrett Wilson. Then you just have to kind of stick with him and just hope for the best. Hive says Kirk or Sutton. Christian Kirk, for sure. Let's see here. Bailey Marco says pick 2, Palmer, Curtis Samuel, Kendrick Bourne. I will probably... Considering it's a lot of risk with Palmer, I think I just play Curtis Samuel and Kendrick Bourne there. Let's see here. Lance Rebo says, if the Steelers game, I'd expect light rain drizzle. Yeah, that's what I would expect as well, because that's kind of what it looks like, at least what's going to happen. Brian the Lion says, Andrew, Darrell Henderson or Hollywood Brown? I'm assuming it's a half PPR, right? If it's a half PPR, let's see. Where's Marquise Brown is behind Darrell Henderson in a half, and a full PPR Marquise Brown is ahead of him. Thank you. Bailey Marco, we took care of that. I would just be safe. Yeah, Curtis Samuel and Kendrick Bourne is fine. Fabian Carrasco says 49ers or Lions defense. Yeah, I'll take the Lions there. I'm fine with that. Let's see here. Burrow or Goff? I have Burrow ranked higher on screen. Okay, let's see here. Flex, Deontay or Waller, PPR. Tight ends get 1.5 per reception. In the tight end premium, you kind of have to play Waller. Flex spot, Foreman or Devonta Smith. I'd probably play Devonta Smith in a full PPR there. Ridley or Lockett. Icewater, I'd play Ridley. BD says Foreman or Rice. Flex spot, I'd probably play Foreman there. Henderson or London in a half PPR. Let me check who I have ranked higher. I have London ranked higher than Henderson in a half PPR. Ellen Goodall says, I took a, last week I traded Zach Moss and Addison for Achane in a full PPR. I'm 4-3. Also got Lockett. Lockett or Gus in the flex. I'd play Gus Edwards in the flex. Achane, hopefully, he's going to come back and be a 20-point player for you. Hopefully. Skinny Bone says, I took a gamble last week. I'm 4-2. Traded Josh Jacobs, DK Metcalf, and Amari Cooper for Justin Jefferson. 4-3. What do you think? Oh man, you gave up a lot, man. You better be in a smaller team league. I feel like if you're in a 12-team league and you gave up Jacobs, DK, and Amari Cooper just for Justin Jefferson, you've given up the whole house. But if you're in a smaller league, 8-team league, I could justify it. Henderson or London? Yeah, we took care of that. Reno, it's London. Nico Collins or Damian Pierce? Randy, considering you didn't mention a scoring format, I'm just gonna assume it's half PPR. Nico Collins is ahead of Damian Pierce in my rankings. Thank you. Bijan Robinson or Kenneth Walker in a full PPR? I have Bijan Robinson ranked higher in a full PPR. Concerned about Mostert's ankle? No, I'm not too concerned. I mean, I've moved him down in my rankings a considerable amount. I still believe he is going to be highly utilized today. Chuba having a larger role? Yes, he will have a larger role today. Let's see here. Cody Shannon says CeeDee Lamb or Pollard flex full PPR. Let's play Pollard today. I think I have CeeDee Lamb maybe ranked higher. Let me check. Where do I have these guys? Tony Pollard's there. CeeDee Lamb is... Yeah, I have Tony Pollard. I had a CeeDee Lamb full PPR. So let's play Tony Pollard. Thank you, Cody. Moving on to the question from Ray. Ray says, start 3 in a full PPR. Deontay Johnson, Rashee Rice, Tank Dell, Kendrick Bourne. I would play Johnson, Rice, and Dell. Thank you. I'm worried about Kendrick Bourne with Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard this week. Sebastian Alex. Thank you, Sebastian. I appreciate it. Says, need one. Half PPR. Jeff Wilson Jr., Jerry Jeudy, Jamal Williams, Royce Freeman. If you need 1.5 PPR, I'd end up playing Jerry Jeudy there. Thank you. Greetings and salutations very much. Okay, thank you very much. No problem, Sad. Gabriel says, is the list you have for full PPR? No, the list on screen is for a half PPR. But yeah, people just ask me full PPR questions, and I look at my Patreon rankings and the Underdog rankings that I send out every week. Let's see here. We have Casper with a question. Full PPR, Barkley or Mostert? Full PPR, I'll take Barkley over Mostert. I think he'll catch the ball considerable amount of times today. FLWZ says, I get Puka Nacua, Mostert, trade away Jamar Chase. Thoughts? I'd rather have Jamar Chase, actually. I don't think Mostert's going to be that valuable once Achane returns. Landon Ramirez says, D-Hop or Folk? Can you play Folk over D-Hop? I think I probably would consider doing that. I actually would, legitimately. I'd rather have a kicker. Zach Moss or Ezekiel Elliott? I'd play Ezekiel Elliott this week. Christian Watson or Hendo in a full PPR? I'd probably go with Watson there. PPR, pick 2, DJ Moore, Nico Collins, Pickens. I'll take Nico Collins and Pickens there. No gun. Let's see here. Ayuk or DK Metcalf? Ray, I take Ayuk there. Again, rankings on screen pretty much give you guys an idea. Even with the snow, yes. What does it say? Glazer says Tyler Lockett is will play. Okay, yeah. Game time decision, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Whatever. Not a big deal. Somebody added me on Twitter. Which one of you did it, huh? Who's TC915? Says, Andrew, should I trade Tyreek Hill for AJ Brown and Kenneth Walker? Yes. My other wide receivers are, yes, I would do it. I would legitimately do it. If you can get 2 options that are top 10 at their positions for 1, and AJ Brown is really close to Tyreek Hill as a late, like I'm very comfortable doing that. That's fine by me. The volume of depth you bring in with Walker on top of it, that's great. All right. Let's see here. CJ or Tua? I'll take Tua this week. I'm comfortable with that. What are your thoughts on Trey McBride this week against the Ravens? I have Trey McBride ranked as my number 12 tight end. I'm pretty confident in his play. He's a guy that in college, his final year at college, I think he was at Colorado State, if I'm not mistaken. The guy had 1,100 receiving yards. Like, this is a receiving tight end for sure. They just haven't utilized him as much because of Zach Ertz's presence, and obviously Zach Ertz is now gone. Is Hunt ranked 20 with or without Ford? That's without Ford. If he is ranked, okay, if Ford plays, Kareem Hunt goes to number 26, okay? Ahead of Tuba Hubbard. Benzos says, I hate how my questions are between Waddle, Pickens, and Olave. And you have them ranked all next to each other. I mean, at that point, at least, at least in my opinion, the assumption is that they'll all score a similar volume of points, right? So at least you know that, right? At least at that point. Jack says Minshew or Howell. I prefer Minshew. Goddard, Henderson, or Foreman. At this point, I'm comfortable going with both those running backs. Myers or Waddle. I prefer Myers. I think Las Vegas is going to get clobbered, says Steve. Here's the thing, Steve. If they get clobbered, that means they throw for the entirety of the second half. If they throw for the entirety of the second half, Myers is his favorite target. Let's see here. Shahir says, on Patreon, you have Henderson and Downs back-to-back, so I was wondering who you think is the safer play at a half PPR. The safer play at a half PPR. I don't know if there is a safer play between the two. I think okay, so technically, the safer play is Josh Downs. Technically. Yes. I would think that Josh Downs is a safer play, but I do like Henderson more in a half PPR. Shivam Patel says, pick 2, half PPR, Devonta Smith, Calvin Ridley, Kareem Hunt, Brian Robinson Jr., or Palmer. I will take Kareem Hunt, and I will take Devonta Smith there, Shivam. Thank you. Appreciate it. Alan Ban in the chat was saying, trade Mixon, Sanders. Okay, yeah, we're not going to do trade questions. We got to do starter sit questions right now. Dustin Hopkins or Nick Folk. I can't pick up a kicker. Dustin Hopkins is preferred there, Landon. Oh, it's not DeAndre Hopkins. I get it. Yeah, let's go with Dustin Hopkins. Yeah. Foreman or DK in the flex? DK in a full PPR, probably Foreman in a half. Browns or Lions? I have Browns ranked higher. Opinions on T. Higgins today? Risky play? I don't think he's that risky of a play. I think he's a solid, okay play. He has touchdown upside. If he's able to actualize that upside, I mean, he's probably going to be in the top 17 wide receivers by the end of the week. Let's see here. Ridley or McLaurin? Kevin, I prefer McLaurin. Jay Beats 14 says, downgrade Addison with Jair now active. No. Jair Alexander is not going to play man coverage the entire game. If they want to play it that way, which I don't expect them to do so, then so be it. But Jair Alexander in this defense, they play predominantly zone coverage. So they're not going to change it up, in my opinion, for this week. So the assumption is that Addison is still going to have opportunities against other cornerbacks, and he'll probably win against them. Just to give you a perspective, let me just pull it up real quick just so I have the context. This season, the Packers are playing zone 77% of the time. That is quite literally the 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the 6th highest percentage amongst all teams in the league. They play the 6th most zone coverage. So the assumption would be, of course, a lot of cover 3 looks out there for, maybe covered. Yeah, it'd probably be a lot of cover 3 out there, but it depends. I don't know what kind of, because they're missing a couple safeties due to injury, so I don't know what exactly they're going to do. But anyway, I'd assume a lot of nickel coverage, though. A lot of 11 personnel there. Where would Ford rank on your list if he plays? If Ford plays today, he would be RB 31 ahead of Alexander Madison. AM says Dak or Lawrence. I prefer Dak. Thank you. Dak Prescott's 8. Lawrence is a 12. Appreciate it. Full PPR, Javonte Williams, Josh Palmer, Kendrick Bourne. If I'm playing one of the 3 junior, I'd probably play Downs there. Josh says, doubt you've been asked this. 1, PPR, Josh Kelly or Miles Sanders? That's a great question. I'll take Miles Sanders there. DK or Tank Dell today in the flex spot. Who do I have ranked higher on screen? I have DK Metcalf at 27, Tank Dell at 29. So that's what I'd go with. Thank you. Foreman or Sutton in the flex? I'd probably play Foreman there in a half PPR. All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. We have accomplished another Sunday morning live stream. I do appreciate y'all coming through. I do appreciate y'all clicking the like button. I do appreciate y'all continuing to support the channel, sending in super chats, signing up via Underdog Fantasy, of course, signing up via the Patreon. All that kind of support you guys have sent in my direction is greatly appreciated. I'll be back tomorrow talking about some waiver wire targets at the primary positions. Probably on Tuesday, we'll have some trade news. I'll probably have a trade episode there, or I'll attach it to the beginning of the running back rankings episode. We'll kind of keep that up to date as we go, or maybe I live stream on Tuesday. We'll end up seeing how it goes. But either way, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Much love. Again, for those of you who want consistent rankings sent every single Sunday morning for the remainder of the season, weeks 9 through 18, all you got to do is check out Underdog Fantasy, make that first-time deposit minimum of $10 using code Andrew. You could obviously go ahead, make some pick'ems plays, draft some teams, or just, again, take advantage of the rankings. All you got to do is, of course, do those two primary things, use code Andrew, make that first-time deposit. And then the only other question is whether you're eligible via the map on the right side of the screen based on your age, location, all that kind of jazz. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to cue the music, play the double helix, let the guitar sing its way out. And until next time, I'll see you guys. Peace.